Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. I am Josh Henning.
I'm Phil Gerber.
I'm Jeremy Gerber.
Welcome everybody back to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original, presented by Blade HQ. Whether you're into cars, motorcycles, hunting, fishing, grilling, or any number of things, you've got the tools that you swear by. Have you ever noticed that the tool that finds its way into every job is a knife? Do you have the knife that you swear by? If not, it's time you got yourself one. And Blade HQ is the place to get it. They've got knives to fit any hand, any belt, any job, and any budget. Just go to bladehq.com/oil and whiskey to shop their selection of knives. Thanks to Blade HQ. We've spent some serious time looking. I was on there actually this morning, bought myself a new knife.
Did you?
Yeah, I was looking for a gift for a buddy, and you could get an hour into that pretty quickly.
Yep.
You get very indecisive.
Yeah, I know.
There's so much to choose
keep
from.
going. I want to check out Tonto blades. I want to check out OTFs. I want to get automatics and just keep.
And I find myself looking for a multi-tool.
And then I left for the bandana.
We should seriously talk to them about doing like a roadster shop pick.
It's coming. Don't.
I just thought it was a good idea.
It's a great
lot
idea.
of stuff that I keep like bookmarking and saving. I'm like, we should do that.
There's gonna be a pick of the episode.
Well, let's not leave the listeners in suspense here because we've got quite the guest here.
We do.
So go ahead, Josh.
Today we're going to be talking with Avant-Garde Design managing partner Jeremy Carlson. We've also got a brand new segment called Whiskey Throttle. But first, it's time for On the Gas. In this segment, we want to take some time to shout out an individual vendor, shop, or company that's got their foot on the gas, doing great work, and taking their projects to the next level. We're going to do this one with Jeremy Carlson. And who do we have for On the Gas this week?
I think one that we've all kind of been following on Instagram for a little while, seem to be kind of pushing the industry and what's going on behind the scenes. Mobile solutions, fabrications. I know Carlson, you play a role in a lot of their classes and seminars. Let you give us kind of a little more detail on who they are and what they do.
When we see it, it just looks like really cool stuff that they're doing on routers and printing, and you see these beautiful center consoles, but Carlson's the one making that stuff. So, yeah, I don't really know what goes on there, so tell us about it, man.
So Brian and Michelle Schmidt are good friends of mine. Brian has the same background I do. We both come from the 12-volt background. And he started several years ago supplying the 12-volt industry with templates, router templates, and different supplies to do the custom fabrication. And he has definitely pushed it. And he is the leader in everything to do with any kind of fabrication online. And he's done it with technology, with bringing in the social media and with the videos. And he keeps upping his list of things he sells and materials he produces every year. And on top of that, he holds classes at his facility in Tempe, Arizona. And recently, we just got back from doing the very first expo from Mobile Solutions, which was basically almost like a mini CES, SEMA, or old 12-volt industry training. But we had a lot of old school 12-volt guys there and a lot of upholstery guys. And so the whole hot rod scene and the hot rod interior scene, what Brian's pushing towards now, along with the 12-volt side. So myself and a couple other people in the industry are pushing the hot rod side of it. So anything to do with from the fabrication side, the hot rod interiors, from the upholstery to different templates and tricks and techniques, he's stepping it up out there and training several people. I mean, we're selling out. I should say he's selling out every class that he opens up out there. So, and the expo was a huge thing this year. So I think next year is going to be huge.
That's pretty
Sweet.
cool.
So
Kind of like the Rosetta Stone from the dark arts of interior to the way it is down
secrets
today.
of the pros.
Yeah, well, different take on someone who has the skills and kind of trying to get that out there and let the industry grow with them instead of harnessing that and
Hiding it all for yourself.
Yeah, we like to give back. There's several of us that help him go out there and we teach and do trainings. And Matt Val, who works for me here, him and I just went out there and did a technology class and taught about the future of our industry and upholstery and fabrication. And so it's good to give back to the younger generation for sure too. And Brian's very good at that.
That's great. Do you find that it's mostly younger guys that are joining those classes that are just getting into it, or older guys that have been in the business that are looking to elevate their game?
I think that it's the older guys that are there, definitely there for the upholstery side of it. I think that they have the mentality that if they don't evolve, they're going to die. And they see people on the internet and the people on social media turning out these, fabrication pieces that you couldn't do 20 years ago without the technology we use today or other people use today. So I think they're all trying to jump on that bandwagon and kind of just get trained, and it's good. Everybody should evolve. So I think it's definitely the older generation that's stepping up and putting the effort and energy into it.
Well, sweet.
Well, check out at Mobile Solutions Fabrication on Instagram, and you too can see what we're talking about. Jeremy Carlson is the managing partner at Avant-Garde Design, a leader in automotive interiors, custom designs, and upholstery. You can see their incredible work at Avant-Garde Design. That's at avant.garde.design on Instagram. Jeremy, welcome to Oil and Whiskey.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. Look at your beautiful background. You look all suave and relaxed. And
I am. I'm good.
We've got ourselves some whiskey to drink. I don't see anything in your hand.
Yeah,
we brought something.
Are we able to teleport this through the screen here?
Yeah, we'll do it in post.
I figured that since we're drinking whiskey, and I know you enjoy a good cocktail, I brought in some Smirnoff Orange, which can mix quite well with this Hypnotic. And I thought that would be, in a martini glass. I thought that'd be perfect for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd drink anything at this point if you can get it here.
I mean,
the Hypnotic smile time.
I mean, we've been friends for a long time. We've shared a lot of cocktails together, and I just figured that was your taste.
We don't have any umbrellas or fancy pink things to go in there, but
forget it.
So I guess to give the listeners a little background, for those who don't know Jeremy Carlson and Avant-Garde, you, I guess, aren't paying much attention to what's happening in the hot rod industry, but he is, I'd say, the man when it comes to custom automotive interiors in hot rods, muscle cars, trucks, you name it. And man, just an awesome all-around guy, and a guy that we're all proud, I believe, to call a friend. And I know your whole story, or most of it, but I don't think that the world does.
It would be a pretty boring podcast if we just
said, I know him. Yeah, he does really cool shit.
It's a cool story.
Trust me, there's a few some cars on our website. Check them out.
Yeah, so take us back where it all started. In the 12-volt world, stereo installs and stuff. We try to with every guest the origin story. You don't have to start when you were 5 or 6 years old, but
I think it's important though to include the frosted tips. That's critical to the story.
I can pass zero judgment there.
Well, so I'm from Kansas originally, from Salina, Kansas. Back then, high school. Let's rewind a little bit before that. You talk about 5 or 6 years old. My grandfathers were a huge influence on me. They're both carpenters, and always using my hands, visiting them, and I always migrated towards anything that was happening with saws or routers or table saws, whatever it would be. And so it kind of evolved when I got into high school, and probably my sophomore year, junior year, started getting our first cars and the friends. And everybody started wanting subwoofer enclosures and something made for their cars. And I had a little shed in our backyard in Salina, and I had a table saw in it and a bandsaw, I think, a little router table at the time. But people would come over, and I was helping them build things in their cars that looked like total dog crap. But it was a start, and I think what it was back then is we didn't have social media, obviously. And so,
well, this was like in the 70s, right? So the internet wasn't even
the early 70s. Yeah. So there was no internet yet when I first started, that's for sure. So
is there currently internet in Kansas?
Some, and only in northern Kansas. Yeah. Okay. Haven't got down south yet, but they didn't know any different what we were doing. They thought we were the greatest people ever when we were doing the car audio back then. So there was a couple of local shops there that I would go and ask questions, buy parts from, and one shop in particularly, they're out of business now. Dell's Electronics, but they kind of gave me the cold shoulder a couple of times, and I'm a pretty, happy-go-lucky guy. I don't want to give anybody a cold shoulder or anything like that. And I kind of took offense to it. So it kind of gave me the drive to kind of figure out what they were doing. And they were in business for this. I wanted to become better than they did. So I hooked up with another car audio shop in town with a younger guy that had started a couple of years before that, and ended up getting an internship during my senior year in high school there. And so I would leave a half a day and go to the internship and spend a half a day there with him. And we started doing custom work and bouncing ideas off each other. And he taught me quite a bit. His name was Brian Phelps. And once I finished my senior year, I had decided what I was going to do. I went to the tech school in Manhattan, Kansas, which was through Kansas State University, and went for construction science. And I thought I wanted to build houses and be an estimator or anything with construction. I had been doing that the past 3 years with my ex-girlfriend's father, and thought it was something I wanted to do. While in school, I was working for a local shop there in Manhattan, Kansas, and they kind of took me under the belt, kept telling everybody that I was a great fabricator, and I'm telling them no, but they keep giving me projects, they keep getting better and better. And so it kind of evolved from there, really. I think it was 96, 97, I met one of my best friends, Ian Black, at a training in Missouri. And him and I kind of had the same interest. And a lot of it was wrapped around car audio and more so on the fabrication side. And so that's really where I got the fabrication side, just back and forth every day, talking to you on the phone, ideas. We built several cars together, a couple of cars that won world finals. World finals in the 12-volt world is kind of like the World Series for baseball. You have to earn points. You have to get earned to go there and compete sound quality to see who has the best sounding car in the country. And we won. And that was right at the time that my mom and dad had called and told me that they were moving to Florida. My mom was in Fort Hill. And so I had to make a decision if I'm going to stay in Kansas or move to Florida with my parents. And I decided to move to Florida. And fast forward to end of 97 when I get to Florida, and I went to work for a local shop, south of Southwest Florida, which happened to be one of the biggest shops in the country at the time. And I worked with a couple of really talented people. And one of the guys I hired down here is Zach Abbas, and he's still with us today. But we were building vehicles back then that, manufactured vehicles. Like when you go to CES or SEMA, you would walk into a booth and you would see these big show cars, and that's what we started building there. That's where I really first started getting noticed, I would say. There were several magazine articles, and obviously there was no social media still back then. So everybody had to wait for the magazine articles to come out every month to see what everybody else was doing. So one thing kind of led to another. Sounds of Southwest Florida went out of business in late 97. And I had met my wife, soon-to-be wife at that point, a little bit before that. And her parents lived up in northern Florida by Orlando. And we decided to move up by them. Started a local shop up there and quickly decided I wanted to do my own thing and started my own shop. It was called Evolution Audio. It lasted a year or so. And then I got contacted by Metra Electronics, Metra is who produces all the dash kits and wiring harnesses if you want to put an aftermarket radio in the car.
Sure.
And they were right there in the same town. So they wanted to know if I was interested in going to work at the Installer Institute. And the Installer Institute is a local school, which has grown quite a bit now, but that teaches 12-volt installers to become installers. We're talking about straight out of high school, young kids that never even put wires together before, any kind of fabrication. So I decided to take the job with the Installer Institute. I was there probably a year and a half, and it got really monotonous, but I didn't want to go anywhere. Metra offered me a position in regional sales in the front office, and still in the 12-volt world. And so I decided for a change and went to regional sales in Metra. And then for the next 7 years, I was with Metra. I did regional sales, and then the last 2 or 3 years, I did project development for them. And
so you had you had like a desk job then? You were like a
I did. I did sales.
Man, I never knew that about you. That's probably the least impressive thing that I've heard about you so far.
It was good. It was good to I got to talk to a lot of people and meet a lot of people. but it again was monotonous. You know, you go to, you know how it is. You go to work and you sit behind the desk and you talk to the same people all the time. But it was okay. But we once I got into product development, I started using a little bit of CAD and AutoCAD back then, and I kind of sparked an interest. And then came 2008 when the world crashed, and Metro let 108, 110 people go in one day. And unfortunately, I was the one building the trade show displays and the show cars, and then doing product development. So I wasn't making much money for them at the time. I was costing money, obviously. So we parted ways in a nice way. They took care of me, and went to work for a local shop in Daytona called Soundcrafters, which used to put on a big show every year called Spring Break Nationals, which was a really famous show for years. And I was there probably a year and a half, and I got a call from a headhunter friend. He was in the industry, but knew somebody was looking for a 12-volt guy in South Florida. And so his name was Dennis Hopper. And he said, hey, I got this guy. He's looking for somebody to run his whole 12-volt department. Are you interested? And I said, I could be. And so I met up with the owner. His name's Matt Brown, which I'm still employed by today. That was 14 years ago. And like they say, the rest is history. But there's obviously a lot we're missing there, but that's the short end of the story.
The big thing we missed is we went right to 2008, and we never touched on the frosted tips. So were the frosted tips still being sported in 08, or what point? When did they come in? Oh, after.
When I moved further south.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, closer to Miami.
So I'll try to make this. I think you'll understand it. I hope any listeners understand. I'll make this shorter as I can. So I have a very limited background in some of the similar circles, and
the frosted tip circles.
Some of the frosted tip circles, yeah. What do you think was the major change when it went from building a MDF skeleton, some super glue and accelerator, doing some fleece and a milkshake? Most everything was fiberglass and built that way. Whether it was sound quality and stealth install competitions, or the full blown wild. Like you said, the Alpine show cars or Fishman stuff. When did it change to go into like what you're doing now with CAD and modeling and all of the different technologies being used? There had to be. Was it a slow shift? I remember moving on from that world, going into more of the performance, more of the hot rods, and then all of a sudden, as we started becoming friends and learning about backgrounds, it was kind of like. I thought that kind of died off, but y'all were just in the lab, like putting liquid paper on bees and stuff. Like y'all were honing skills, and now all of a sudden, all these same major players have came back around and doing the shit you're doing now. Explain that kind of transition.
You know what I think it was? I think in the early 2000s, I think everybody got tired of seeing the fiberglass volcanoes in the back of the cars. Especially on the 12-volt side. It was different in the hot water world. But on the 12-volt side, people were tired of seeing the same shit all the time. Where I kind of excelled in the 12-volt side was more the integration side. I was building things back then that looked like it came with the Mercedes or came with the BMW, more integrated. But at the same time, when I worked for Metro, Fishman and I worked together. We worked there for 5 or 6 years. We built 4 or 5 cars together, and it was a ton of motorization. It was a ton of fiberglass, a ton of paint. But at that time, we were building a car or cars for manufacturer representation. So we were building a car that needed to draw attention. I think 2008, 2009, 2010 came, and those budgets went away. People got cut from jobs because of the world we lived in. And the big budgets, the Alpine budgets, and the Rockford Fosgate budgets, and Metro budget where there were no more. And so I think that a lot of people in the industry just kind of honed in on becoming better at regular installers. And because if you think that's about the time where cars really started switching and got really complicated. Talking about CAN bus, and you're talking about all this new technology that's coming out about the same time. And so at that time, it was really hard to start integrating some of these amplifiers and big Alpine radios in some of these dashes because there just wasn't room for them, or you couldn't remove the factory radio. And I think it definitely shifted, and the installers that wanted to stay installers, they had to back up and say, what do we do now? And that's when they really went into figured out the wiring and figured out these black boxes you had to add to these cars that make the radio still work or to make the CAN bus work or whatever it was. And so I think you're right. I think you kind of hit it when you said that everybody else was kind of in the lab, or they were trying to figure out other things to do. Myself was one of the last cars I built for Metra in 2003 or 2004 was a Honda Civic hatchback. And we cut the hell out of the car and did polymerization to it. And that car, that was CES 2004. So like end of 2002 or beginning of 2003, I went to a woodworking show called IWF. It was in Atlanta. And I bought a CNC router. The reason I bought the router was a friend of mine had told me about it and what I could do with it. Well, at the time, I was supplying Metra with MDF rings that they could sell, little ones and big ones, so that other people that didn't have like router circle cutters you could buy rings from them. Well, then I seen the opportunity to get a CNC router and not have to spend all night making rings by hand. So my good friend Scott Palmieri and I, we went together on the side outside of work, and we bought the CNC router, and we started producing these rings. And then I started coming up with rectangles for windows and all this stuff and selling to Metra. Well, at the same time, I'm still working for Metra, and we're building a couple of these cars, and I started integrating the CNC router into the installs. Well, once you start using the technology, or
it changes the game.
It's really hard to go back. You guys know that. You know?
Yeah, it'd be
like taking your CNC away today. You know?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because it's really amazing what the machine will do for your business. We were the same way. As soon as we got that CNC plasma cutter, it just changes your business. You know, you have no choice, but like the machine's there. It's a shit ton of money. And it starts opening all these windows as far as what to do, and it basically steers your business, which is probably very much what happened with you.
That's exactly right. You know, once you start using it, you're like, oh, we could do that. Oh, we could do that now. And then the wife is like, oh, can you make me this now? You know how that goes.
And then you're like, that's actually, I could probably use this for that also. And then it just keeps snowballing.
Exactly right. So that was 2003, 2004. And so for the next couple of years, we kept making rings and doing things with Metra. And then when I moved to South Florida, 2008, that's when I moved down here to Palm City to work with Matt. And one of my first things I talked to Matt was that the facility, you know, I need to build my own facility, and we need to have a CNC router. And at first it was like, what? And then it was a deal breaker. You know, I wasn't moving to South Florida without a CNC router, because I was so used to it at that point and having one. So once I moved down here, you know, we're using the CNC for basically just 12-volt stuff. And we are stepping up our game. And I think in 2012, Extreme Performance, who I came down to work for at the time, we won Retailer of the Year for Mobile Electronics Magazine. So we were definitely getting recognized for our installs and for how we were doing things. And technology really, really pushed that envelope. And that's kind of where, on my end, where the technology started was, you know, we purchased it for something else. And like Jeremy said, you know, it opened our eyes for, hey, we can do this, or we can do that, or I can make that shape I could never make before. But, you know, back then we're using the CNC router and we're cutting 2D shapes. You know, we could be in Microsoft Paint making a file if we had to, but it's evolved obviously a lot.
Solid program.
Oh yeah,
I do a lot of Microsoft Paint work. Most of my best work comes out of
Phil's
Microsoft
like fucking
Paint.
Picasso in Microsoft. He sends things. I'm like, did that come from the engineering department, or it's legit?
Yeah.
He's fucking,
I'll do the next Mobile Solutions Expo. I'll teach you guys how to make it
Microsoft
happen.
Paint with Phil Gerber, the Roadster Shop.
Yeah, you must have got the Microsoft Paint Pro.
No, that's all like fucked up. It's got 3D and shapes. I don't like it. I'm old school.
Free one.
I get that's a good transition into just, you know, further discussing the technology, the equipment, and what effect that's had on your business. And I got to kind of witness it firsthand. I mean, I feel like we were kind of along for the ride, because when I first met you, I'm not good with dates, but this is a long time ago. I mean, what do you think that was? 2016, 2015? When?
Well, the first car was Onyx.
Which was
15, 16, somewhere around there.
Okay, so we'll call it 2014. I know at the time you had the CNC router, and that was kind of like what was setting you apart. That was something so different. The panel fitment was amazing. You were integrating all sorts of cool magnets, but you were using like everything was kind of like looked like you were stacking panels, gluing things.
You were getting dimension.
Yeah, you were getting there.
That nobody else was getting.
But it was a 3D printer and CNC. I'm gonna butcher the name, but you got these massive fucking CNC sewing machines. I don't even know what you call the damn things, but
CNC sewing machines.
CNC sewing machine.
The big
right,
ones.
that's what I said. Yeah. CNCSM. CNCSM.
Fancy.
And I got to witness firsthand the elevation of the product, because we're on the receiving end of that. We're sending you cars and we're getting back the finished product. So elaborate on what that did for you.
So it's changed everything, and I say it's changed everything. And we've been super blessed as a business as to work with you all, other top builders. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think that technology definitely opened those doors. If I was another upholsterer that was just turning out flat panels, you probably would have never noticed me, or, you could have just found the same work where you were, or wherever you've been getting it done at. So there had to be a difference, right? So in 2012, I won an award called Installer of the Year for Mobile Electronics Magazine. And that was like in August or September. And that Christmas, I was sitting on my back porch drinking a martini with a little umbrella. I kind of felt that I needed the next step. What's next? It had been at that point 23 or 24 years I've been doing what I was doing in the 12-volt world. And you all know me. I'm not one to brag. I'm not one to really do any of that kind of stuff. But I was pretty well known in the 12-volt world. At that point, I built enough cars. I did enough demo cars, sound quality cars, whatever it was. I had done it all. And people knew who I was. So
you had to transition from that to being, who's this guy?
That's exactly right. That was the hardest part, is going to a trade show and everybody talking to you, to go into a trade show and people like, who are these people, Because it wasn't just me. It was a team that we brought this all in together with.
Yep.
And it was tough in the beginning. I mean, I had, luckily, the financial background from Matt, the owner of the company, that wasn't down my throat every day. He knew we were evolving and creating new techniques and new machinery. And luckily, I had someone like him that believed in me, that would put the capital up front to get a new machine. And no disrespect to Matt, but what I was buying, he didn't know what the hell I was buying. He doesn't know how to run it.
But he trusted you. He was investing
in
you.
Exactly. And so with that, every night I was home just looking at different industries. What is it? What is the aerospace industry? What are they doing different? We're 12-volt world, upholstery world. We're like cavemen still on some of the stuff we were doing. And so I wanted to keep pushing the envelope on the technology side. And that's about the time that we hooked up with Jeremy Miranda from Mirandaville. I think that was like 13 or 14 maybe. And we were at SEMA and we talked to him. And we had talked to heard of each other before. We'd never met really. And we talked for the first time out there. And I think the conversation went something like, hey, I know you can build things or build about anything, but can you build a hot rod interior? And I looked at him straight in the face. I'm like, oh yeah, I can build a hot rod interior. Here, I've never built a full interior before. I'm modifying BMW panels or trunk panels or dashes, but I'd never physically built a whole interior before from scratch. And so, lying through my teeth, I'm like, oh yeah, I can take care of that. But luckily, he gave me the opportunity, and that's where we kind of really turned it up. And I knew that I had to come up with new techniques and not even so much new techniques, but I had to transition what I've learned for 23, 24 years into a new industry. Because now I'm coming into an industry that does things totally different than I do. You know, they're using chipboard and Landau foam and carbon grooves in it and tucking it with knives with leather in it, you know, and I'm looking at them like, what are you doing? You know, it's because we didn't use foam. We're working with hard panels. Josh, you probably know, you were in that industry for a while. You know, it was vinyl, right? It was Bondo and MDF but we were finishing panels out back then in polyester and standing out like they could be painted, but we're wrapping them in vinyl, you know.
That's how you got everything tight. But I don't want to cut you off. I want you to keep going.
No, I don't want to cut you guys, so go ahead.
I don't want the listeners to miss this point that you just said, that with no hesitation, you said absolutely I can build a hot rod interior and stuff. You'd figure that out. But all the technology is great. I absolutely agree with everything y'all are talking about. The technology is awesome, but you still have to have that eye. And the fact that you said that you were prior to was modifying BMW panels or doing a stealth install on an Escalade or stuff like that. That is in my opinion, is the key to your look, because you had to do a sub install in a BMW M3 or whatever. So you had to do that panel and integrate it into the factory BMW textured panel. Or you have, for anybody that's out there that's been building cars for a while, you think about trying to install something in your wife's car or a brand new vehicle right now and mimic those plastic textures.
Oh yeah,
mimic that.
You're just not
brushed aluminum.
You're not going to do it.
The subtle radiuses, the subtle curves, the subtle things that you have to do. That's near impossible.
Well, that's a very good point, because it's easy to dwell on the fact that, oh, technology's awesome. Like, I'll get this, and this, and I'll do this. That's not the case. I mean, I see stuff just like you said. I mean, I see stuff all day long pop up on Instagram that it's somebody CNC'd something. There's a 3D printed. I mean, an A-pillar, for example. Right. That's a great example, because I see stuff all the time. It's some crazy geometric shape with a bezel and fasteners and a grill, and it's got this and that. And there's 47 different pieces of technology used to create it, but it looks like shit.
Right.
You know,
it looks like it was
right.
CNC
It's on a
machined.
new car, and you're like, that's
showing off that you can do all this stuff and just blast it in somebody's face.
But that looks great in isolation.
But you having that body of work or that mental library of knowing the way a two panel should interface, knowing the dash to the door panel top sweep, or things that you have been fucking around with for years on the OE side, and trying to hide the EQ, in this glove box, or you're going to, make a stealth, bass knob or EQ, whatever you're going to do in a center console. That is way more difficult, exponentially more difficult than saying, okay, we're just going to build a center console here in a 69 Camaro, right? And you're going to do two sides, and you're going to do a flat top. And then you're like, well, it looks kind of square, so let's kind of like radius the corners, and then let's like do an inlay and stuff like that. That's not, you didn't come from that background. So I don't want anybody to, I don't want you or anybody listening to miss the fact that because you were doing,
awesome.
well, yeah, but the fact is, because you were doing all that OE shit, absolutely you could build a hot rod interior, and you could probably build a hot rod interior better than anybody else that was doing it, because you came from that background. So you put those touches, those radiuses, those sweeps in that nobody else was doing. Nobody else could do that.
Yep. Yeah, before you go any further, I got to take the wheel here, because that was right when you and I first met. And his first interior and his introduction to the hot rod world was on a grade 8 winning car, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big deal. And that was when
huge deal.
Yeah,
huge deal.
Miranda introduced me to you, and the very first thing that you did was basically disassemble like 50% of the interior while I was standing there.
Right,
and
there,
you're like, oh,
right
look
there
at
in the
this.
display.
Yeah.
Right there in the display.
Yeah, right
Show
in the display.
everybody.
Yeah. He's like, hey, look at this. And he like yanks the bezel off and hold this and look at the backside. I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is the two takeaway, like from that show of that era. It's like, all right, Rad Rods by Troy is building shit that's out of this fucking world, and nobody's going to fuck with that. And this dude building these interiors is out of this world, and nobody's going to match that. That was a total shift.
But before we keep going into the progression, we both know, we can all agree on the fact that we have been in this industry for quite some time. It's difficult to admit how old we are. We've been doing this for
At your age, yeah.
for a decent amount of time. We've had a shit ton of vehicles built for customers and had interiors done in them. And every single time they got a little bit better and you're like, man, this is really good. But in the back of your head, when you went to sleep at night, you were like, man, it's just not what the rendering showed. It's not what I envisioned. But you made your peace with it because it was the technology that was available.
Yep.
It was an old car.
Right.
Like, what else are we going to do? We're not
There's
General
a certain
Motors.
level that you couldn't go above.
Right.
There's a ceiling. And
Right. You always got the 2D version of the 3D rendering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Now, fast forward, Carlson comes on to the stage, and I don't want to say burst that glass ceiling because that's like,
Sounds cool.
yeah, it does sound cool, but that's like what feminists do. But that's like in your, but
Zip
you
it.
did, you,
We don't want to go there.
but that's the best way to describe
Yeah.
it, is because you knew what you want. We all knew what we wanted. We knew what we wanted it to be, but we knew that what we were trying to achieve was unachievable.
Yeah.
And then Avant-Garde and Jeremy Carlson comes in. He's like, oh, like this? You
Yeah.
mean?
I feel like we're just sitting here like fanboying and just
Well,
stroking
no.
his
Because
ego over
I
here.
wanted the listeners to understand the I guess the details that matter. It's not just a really well done interior that's stitched properly or that's straight or that's tight. We're not even talking about there's no, creases in the leather or wrap in a corner. We're 75 steps past that.
Take it apart and look at the backside and look at how it went together is
Right.
what blew all of us away, that you didn't even care like what the finished product looked like. It was like, let's get it apart and see what's behind it and see how he built it, and just impressed at all the machining and the way it was fit.
I'll be honest with you. I after the fact, that's cool. The look of it, he could have molded the car together and told me that you'll never take it apart again, and I would have been happy because it looked fucking awesome.
I think that you were right that it's when I and my team, when we look at a car, we look at the car as a whole. And Jeremy, I'm with you on the fact that I get really tired of just seeing stuff stacked up, materials on top of materials on top of materials.
Yep.
Because you have a CNC or you have a laser or you have a router table doesn't mean you should just put materials on top of materials on top of materials.
Yep.
It has to look like it came with whatever car that it's in. And it has to be a theme, if you want to call it, from front to back. It has to look like the same person designed and built the front that designed and built the back seat onto the trunk or whatever it is. And I think that's some of the problem today with some of these other installers or upholstery people is they have a hard time putting it all together. They're either really good at sewing upholstery or they're really good at fabrication.
Yep.
They have a hard time putting it all together to complete that package. And I feel that that's kind of where we kind of just jumped right in, is my attention to detail. I don't sleep at night with details. I'm so detail oriented, fasteners and all that. And then I got a great team behind me that can stitch and that can hand a panel off to, or that they can make it look like it came from BMW, but we're putting in a 69 Camaro. And so I think that is where the difference started at in the beginning.
Yeah. That's something pretty cool to touch on too, because in all reality, like you yourself, I wouldn't call you an interior guy. You're not the dude that grabs the leather, grabs any fabric and stitches anything. I mean, you're a fabricator, and you've assembled an outstanding team, and I think that's a pretty cool thing to touch on. Like, you're at the absolute top of the interior game, but you yourself and the business didn't really start as an interior business.
I mean, think back when you were doing all those installs. When I know this from the audio background, you didn't stitch anything. Stitching itself was a dark art. Like you if you had to stitch one seam to match something, you had to call somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that you would run over there and have them stitch something. But when you were doing car audio, you built and designed everything with zero stitching. Any seams that were there was a wrapped seam. It was a butt joint.
It was a tuck or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
I didn't use leather until I started doing hot rods. It was all vinyl.
Vinyl does way different.
And stretchier.
And tweed. I mean,
Yeah.
go back.
Tweed.
Yeah, I feel like we missed a
Tweed's coming
whole.
back.
You missed like a whole massive section. You were, car audio installer, 12-volt guy, top hot rod upholstery shop in the country. Did you have any experience doing any leather work, any like panels in the car audio world, or
Yeah, when he
how was-
bullshitted Jeremy into saying he could do an interior.
Yeah. How
how did
Yeah.
you just make that
Oh, wow.
jump into, out of nowhere overnight, turning into doing full interiors and wrapping your head around all the leather work and panel fitment and making all that stuff?
So when Jeremy asked me to do the first car, I said yes, but I can't sew, and I don't know anyone who can sew.
How
but
about that?
I can do it. I can do it in vinyl. And he says, "Well, I got this guy that's been doing a few things for me. His name's Tommy, and I think you should meet him." And I said, "Okay." And so I met Tommy, and we agreed to work in the project together. And that guy is a super talented guy. And he kind of opened my eyes to what Phil was talking about, the difference between vinyls and what the difference is in leather, because I could wrap a basketball in vinyl. You're not wrapping a
That's
basketball in
cheating.
leather.
You can make vinyl do whatever the fuck you want with some heat.
So now you're talking about design and panels totally different, because like Josh said, we would build panels because we knew we could wrap them. We could tuck vinyl into it or make a butt joint, whatever it needed to be. Leather, I didn't know what the hell was going to happen to it, So I would start building something, and Tommy would be like, "What do you want me to do with that?" I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "Can you put a stitch in it?" "No." I'm like, "Okay." And so after working back and forth a couple months in the beginning of the project, it really opened my eyes. I knew that I never wanted to use vinyl again. Although I miss, what vinyl does, I don't miss what vinyl is, opposed to leather. And I knew that with stitching that I could achieve what we were going after as far as high end. We weren't working on FP&L's work truck replacement seat. We were working on high end cars. The Nova that Jeremy's talking about, and the first Camaro that we did with Miranda. Those were high end cars, and and me not coming from the hot rod world, I didn't really know much about the rest of the world back then, but I knew they were really nice cars. And so I knew that it had to fit the part, and I knew by fit the part it had to have stitching. And I knew it had to follow straight stitching, and it had to follow a theme. So that kind of was my background came in as far as the fabrication side, because I was able to do things for Tommy that he was able to just lay his seams in, and it gave him perfectly straight lines to lay the seams in. So that was different than he had done before. And so now I'm bringing what I knew with what he knew together. And that's kind of where it all started when it comes to the hot rod side, is a different way of thinking and picking Tommy's brain and using what I brought into it and kind of moving forward. I had hired a guy named Tony out of Tampa. He moved out here, and him and I did the interior on the Nova together. And he was a fabricator as well, and came from the 12-volt side. And he came with a plethora of techniques, and he was super artistic. He could draw, and I can't draw a circle without CAD. So he was able to take my ideas or his ideas and put them on paper. And so that was kind of the first renderings that we worked with, was something that he just kind of took my ideas or his idea, and then I could build it, or he could build it, because then I could see it. So once we got through them projects, we worked on another project where we started using Eric Brockmeyer. That was the first guy I used for renderings. And so then it all kind of just started evolving. It kind of turned from, I'm a 12-volt fabricator, into, we're doing a lot of these interiors now, and people are starting to notice, and I think that's where we put our foot down and just said, we're going to do this. And I think it was you, Jeremy, I think it was after, I don't know if it was Onyx or the yellow Camaro. I don't remember what car it was after, we used to put this little plaques in there somewhere, and it said interior by Extreme Performance in Palm City, Florida. And I think you had made a comment at one time is, I don't mind you putting these plaques in there, but you really had nothing to do with the performance side of it, right? It was just like people get confused or whatever. So I said, I understand. So I went to Matt and I was like, listen, we have to rebrand what we do in it, because it really doesn't make sense to be doing these high-end interiors and extreme performance. And at first I got some resistance, but he agreed to it. And so we came up with the name Avant-Garde from the definition. And once we changed the name, I think it was so awkward for people to say, and they didn't know what we were or what we did, but it was catchy, and people started catching on that avant-garden place or whatever they would call it, avant-garden garden, and so it just started catching on.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
He's a little bougie. Yeah. He had to get bougie with it.
So once we did that, and then we were, like I said, we were blessed to hook up with you and Phil. Then it become really real. Here's the Roadster shop, and you were bigger than life and still are. And I didn't know who you were at the time until Jeremy introduced, but I knew there was bigger and better things than what I was doing at Extreme Performance at the time. And so that's right when we changed the name is when we decided to, myself, I was managing Extreme Performance at that point for like 10 years, the general manager. And I had decided with Matt to pull away from that and to directly just evolve Avant-Garde. And I think that's about the time we had done 1 or 2 cars for you, and then we decided that's when we wanted to do that. So back to your question, Phil, that it's blurry those couple of years, but it's when I met Miranda and started working with Tommy, and then meet you guys, that I knew there was another avenue for my career besides global and building enclosures or building speaker pods or whatever I was going to do. And that's where the upholstery side really kicked in, and I knew that I had a future.
So
that's
there.
Pretty awesome, dude. I think it really makes you very identifiable. And I think the name, the logo, it just feels nicer. It's
a little bit nicer.
Yeah, just
a little.
No, it suits you, and I mean it's in everything that you do. And I'd encourage people. I'm sure you may or may not appreciate this, but anybody that's out your way, I mean, I think you've got to see the facility and the way that. What do they say? They say that one of the great quotes I've heard is, "How you do something is how you do everything."
That's from. And you know who that's from?
Who's that?
John York.
Is it really?
I don't think he coined
I don't know.
I
Coined it. I think
he's the one.
But
He's the one
he
that
says
pushes
it, and that's great. But
he's the one that
I
pushes
think I can't think of a better scenario that applies to than your business, because when you walk through your facility, I mean it's mind blowing.
It looks fake. Like you
It
don't do
does.
work there.
I often wonder. I'm like, these motherfuckers don't do shit here,
They farm
because
it out.
everything is perfect, clean, and crisp. But you really put together the total package there, and it's it's quite impressive. And it's really neat to see when a car arrives. And I'm just gonna steer this totally off subject, but when a car arrives at your place, the way that the car is handled, these are $500,000 cars in excess of $1 million, and we spent a great deal of time out at your place, when we were doing the Camaro, and the way everything is just intricately wrapped and protected and climate controlled, and it's just across the board. You guys just nail it, and I think
extremely professional.
Yeah, the logo and everything, and the way you guys present yourself, it's really a class act.
I think everybody that's down that way needs to stop in, take a tour.
Hang out, I'll take you to lunch. There's a great little buffalo wing place
If they're
down the
closed,
street. What's that joint called?
Hurricanes.
Yeah, Hurricanes.
we're gonna put Jeremy's personal home address up in this
And
video.
his cell number.
Yeah, so that way, if they
Right.
show up and he's closed, give him a shout. Stop by his house; he'll be glad to.
But I
give him a
think,
tour.
in addition to what you've done with, the actual just the physical interiors, I mean, they speak for themselves. But there's a lot to be said for how you operate the business. There's a lot of talented people out there that, no disrespect to you, but there's probably plenty of guys out there that have a skill set similar to yours. but like the unspoken skill set is bringing it all together and putting the facility together, which again, I like something that's mind blowing. I think you've built the majority of that, haven't you?
Yeah,
Because I'll
myself
talk,
and my guy.
I'll talk to you on a Monday, you're designing a kick panel to be 3D printed. On Tuesday, you're laying floor joists for the mezzanine that you're putting up. On Wednesday, you're rerouting an entire electrical system in the shop, and then Thursday you're building some other interior panels. So it's
That's about how my brain works.
yeah.
I'm
Cool.
just yeah. It's
So
and I really appreciate the kind words. The roaster shop and you and your family and your father have been a big part of what we do, because you were, although you guys are younger than me, the business plan or the business model that you guys have, and with the logo and the marketing side, I really took a lot of that from you guys. Honestly, I noticed how much that the RS or the roaster shop was in a lot of places. We would get the cars, and people would say, "God, they put that in a lot of places." I'm like, "Yeah, I like it." Just kind of let it go, And then more cars would come, and people, "That's a roaster shop car." All they had to see was the RS, right? And and you're at the level now. You're like an Oprah. You go by your first name now, right? So it's just the RS. So
just like Oprah.
I mean, I think that's important, and you've executed that very well. Josh, was it you years ago? People used to make fun of me about that. They'd say, I walked through the shop. I spent like 15 minutes in your shop. I was in the bathroom. I was in the office. I was in the showroom, and I counted 76 RS logos. I think that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think that's very important. I mean,
100%.
where you go, like I just, we were out doing some shock tuning at Fox Racing out in California. And that was out of, all the crazy technology and the awesome stuff that we did and that we accomplished. That was my takeaway of the whole deal. I mean, there is a Fox logo on fucking everything. Fox shirts, Fox shoes, Fox pants, Fox on the wall, Fox stickers, Fox on the pop machines. The keyboards are color-coded to Fox. The chairs are color-coded to Fox. I think branding...
So the bar has been set.
Branding is really important.
Great.
Branding is important.
No.
And I think you've done a great job in that and made yourself very identifiable. That now, I mean, in a short time, you went from being, it was kind of like, who's that? The Jeremy Carlson or what? Extreme Performance. You were kind of
The
like
AG. The AG.
you were in limbo as far as who you were, what you were, and now there's no question about it. Other than like the spelling, sometimes I even have to like type into a text message for it to autocorrect guard.
It's Garde.
Is it Garde? Guard,
Garde.
like a guard, but yeah. But all in all, you've done a tremendous job in a short time frame, and very impressive, man. Very impressive. The business itself and the way that you've built your facility and the way you operate, honestly, it's like it's neck and neck with the product that you put out as far as how impressive it is.
Well, it's confidence. I mean, who else is going to sit there cross-legged drinking, a
martini.
A martini.
Well, and coming from honestly the most humble dude that I know, which is, I think a compliment to you, because somebody that's accomplished that's accomplished what you have and the skill set you have and the crew you have and everything. I mean, there's guys with a fraction of your talent that make a lot of noise, and
we talk about that a lot on this podcast.
And
let the work speak for itself.
This is the best example of that. Really. I mean, look at him.
I appreciate that. Where I do want to touch on a little bit is just because we came into the upholstery world now, and we are starting to work with people like yourselves or with Miranda's or whoever else out there we're working for. I still felt, and I still feel to this day, that if you don't evolve, you will die. And so even though in the beginning we're using the machines that we're doing and using plastics instead of wood, we're using all these different techniques. And I brought magnets into the whole upholstery side. I started making all these panels that remove the magnets, and so you don't go around the corner and the panel falls off, because I brought that from the 12-volt side. I started that on the 12-volt side. And so those things I brought over, but I would have never gotten where I was in the 12 volt side if I didn't evolve, if I didn't come up with new techniques for the router, if I didn't come up with magnets, or if I didn't come up with whatever it was. So I had to continue to do the same thing on the upholstery side. Yeah, it was great that I was given a CNC router in the beginning, and then we evolved into the laser. And the laser, honestly, was a big stepping stone for Avant-Garde, because we just talked about branding, and the laser let us use our logo and brand everything we could do, or anything we could do that we could get away with, right? We could do the roaster shop. When we gave the Onyx back to you, you fold the visor down and had the RS logo in the suede, stuff like that. And so that was definitely setting a different bar as well, because if you think about some of these upholstery shops, and some of these upholstery shops are some of my good friends, but they, for the last 30 years, they don't have that technology. They don't have lasers sitting around, or CNCs. So now we're giving cars back to you with your logo and your branding put right into them. And that's where it started. So ever since then, it's been the fasteners. It's been the technology. And we feel that we've led that part of the industry. I haven't been in it long, so I don't want to say that we're leading in anything, but we are definitely driving force when it comes to technology, whether it be with techniques or with just pure technology you can go purchase, and it goes back to, you can purchase, anybody can go out and buy a machine, but I think Josh touched on it earlier that, you have to figure out what you can do with that machine once you have it.
Exactly.
And it's that risk. It's that risk in the beginning. Do we spend the $80,000 on a laser? Can we make money on it? What the hell? Let's just go for it. And then once you get it, you're like, oh, we can use it for that. And then a customer comes in. I know you can laser stuff. Can you laser my baseball bat, whatever? And it just evolves. And then you start figuring out how you can do things with lasers that nobody else is doing because you use your old background. So we started out perfing custom perf patterns with the laser instead of buying perf leather.
Can you strap them?
Laser
Can you
beams.
strap them to sharks?
Yes.
That's all I'm thinking about is fucking strapping the lasers. To
Only in Florida.
Well, dude, you were. Honestly, like you were. You gave us a tremendous compliment that you said you followed a lot of our business model, but likewise, as far as what you've done, I've outsourced so many things to be laser engraved to you that eventually I felt bad because. You're always there for me, and anytime I call, you jump right on it. But that was ultimately what drove us to get, a really cool little laser engraver, because it's just one of those tools that you can do so many neat things with. And I felt bad disrupting your day-to-day stuff with, dude, can you do these plaques for me? I need them tomorrow.
Need it tomorrow.
I got this car going. Just next day, I'm like, put them on my, and I don't think sorry, Matt, but I don't think you charged me for most of those. And I appreciate it, but that's a great tool to have. But really, tools like that, we went into it just like you. At least I did, is I didn't have a product line to say that I've got this, and this to justify the purchase of this, and I'm going to pay it back in X amount of months or years. It's just a great tool to have that opens up windows for you. Now we're making dash pieces and illuminating things, and it's really cool. And I think something to, there's just a lot to talk about as far as how you do interiors, and with those laser cut parts, the CNC cut parts, the routed parts. I think one of the great, novelties of that is that like stuff can break and stuff can change, and it's so easy. Like if I've got a shift bezel that I say, hey, like I want to move the start button, I want to take the start button out, or hey, guess what? I forgot to add window switches. It's at that point, it's not put the car in a trailer and take it back to Jeremy Carlson's place.
Fill some holes and recover it in leather.
Exactly. It's, hey, dude, can you, here's the CAD file, or here's the dimension for this. Can you take that shift bezel that you made and shift this start button over 3/4 of an inch, or add this button that I forgot? And in a day, you have a brand new part with magnets on it, and it just drops. You hear that?
Ooh,
That's how
that
it
was
goes
a
in.
good noise.
Yeah.
That was a good pop.
It just drops into place. So that's a lot. You've brought a lot to the table, man.
Let's not give away.
I don't know if you remember or not, Jeremy and Phil. You guys were both when we
Lost some trim pieces
with Onyx in Vegas.
Inside the center console. Are we going to that story?
I think
not yet.
I think we can talk about that one.
Oh, we can talk about that for sure.
That's a good one to talk about.
We got to Vegas, and I think it was the day before the car was going to be up on stage or judged or whatever. And we noticed that the speaker grills in the rear deck were sitting in the sun all day, and we had to use PVC on them, and they had warped. And I flipped out. I'm like, what the hell? And I called back to Florida. The guys were still here, and they buzzed out 2 new speaker grills for us, wrapped them in grill cloth, and overnighted at 10 a.m. delivery. And I got them at the hotel the next morning and dropped them in the car, and nobody even knew that we switched out grills. It's because I was able to do that because of our CAD files, because of technology. If I would have had to go back and hand route from a jig laying around, it would never happen. But I was able to make a phone call, and the next day they were halfway across the country, and they had a new grill set in the car. And so that's definitely where technology is driven.
Dude, that car had a lot of cool things going for it at SEMA. I mean, the center console design, I think was really something. Do you remember that?
I don't know the story you're talking about.
So that was one of the first cars that was the year I think we brought out the Inferno Camaro as well, right?
No, that was before.
No,
what went out? What went out with that car?
I think it was the Pre-Runner, Colorado.
So that was the first year it must have been the first year we were in Battle of the Builders, right? So it's a little nerve-wracking because you're you know how that goes. You've got a car sitting there, you're on TV. Josh doesn't know because he's there just fucking chest pumped, living it up. And for me, I'm a little I get a little nervous. I'm like, oh fuck, So
it's Josh's time to shine.
Nice segue. No, I've never had a car in the fucking Battle of the Builders.
Sorry,
fucker.
I didn't know you were taking the humble approach on that one. But so there I am.
There's no sixth place.
Right. You've got there's cameras fucking everywhere, right? And I've got to get in the car and move it because it's time for it to go up on stage. So instead of there's multiple people, everybody's cleaning the car, moving the car. So it was easiest to just leave the keys in the center console. So I got to get in the car real quick, and it's I'm a little nervous. I got to get this thing up on stage. You get a little jittery.
Is this Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably fucking hungover
and I'm
too.
Yeah, hungover as fuck.
I'm pretty sure they were still drunk.
Yeah, white as a ghost, shaking. And I get in the car, and there's cameras.
No, you need to back up.
No,
well, I get in the car. Yeah,
no. I remember we asked him to move it a few times for us.
I moved it because you guys were up on stage looking at another car, judging another car, and I had moved it to get prepped to come up on stage or something. You're hey, Carlson, can you move the Chevelle and move it up out of the way?
So that's when it happened. Because
maybe we need to back up.
Yeah.
Prior to that, why the retaliation was there?
Oh, I was actually sitting with your dad in the stand when he moved it.
So
I'm here while this is happening.
Okay, so immediately after that, I get in the car. There's cameras blowing in the windows. There's cameras all around. And I get in the car and they're helping me. They're guiding me to back up, right? And I go to reach in and I open the center console and swing it open. And what's in the center console?
I can guess.
Yeah. A big, realistic, veiny ass fucking
12-inch long.
Yeah.
I hope
fucking big old schlongs.
I hope Adrian and Bud are listening right now. Because
and it was I was oh shit. Slam it. Any other time I'd have been laughing my ass
Look
off.
at this.
But yeah, it was all in good fun. But
I still want to know, how did you get that into the show?
Yeah, how did you sneak it in?
You see his backpack. He walks around with a backpack all the time.
That was in your prison purse.
So here's the backstory. When
the backstory.
I think Jeremy and Chad came down. Jeremy and Chad came down or something. I don't remember how, but you had stopped somewhere and you had stopped and bought the damn thing.
No way.
This guy? Right here? This guy?
You may have even sent me one of your own. I don't know how.
No, I think I shipped it down because we did. Oh yeah, no, we did drive by. So yeah, we must have stopped. Where did I place the
I don't know, but
you shipped it to me in the mail with a bunch of T-shirts or something.
Jeremy will fuck with some fake dicks.
Yeah, I'll slide them in there.
So I had this big 12-inch veiny thing with a suction cup on the bottom of it, and we screwed around with it for a while before the show. And so the funny part is, the backstory you probably don't know is when we got ready to come to SEMA, we were with a big group of guys from Extreme and us, and we took a fork and a spoon and we tied it to it with a wire tie, and we put
a
it
metal
in
fork and spoon,
one of
right?
our employees' bags when we went to do check-in. And so it went through the metal detector, the whole thing. And so they take it to the back, and this lady goes, "I'm going to open your bag." And he's like, "Okay." And all you hear is, and she opens it up, here's this big 12-inch thing with these forks and spoons tied to it. So that's how we got it out to Vegas. And I had my backpack, and we had a plan to get you somehow. And then when you called down on stage and said, "Hey, can you move the car for us?" And we knew that was a perfect time. And I had her yell back up. I said, "No problem. Hey, the keys are in the center console." You said, "Oh," I think it was still okay. Thanks. And we just sat there and laughed for the next 30 minutes.
It was well played, and it definitely like.
The best part was the cameras. I mean, we knew that you were under the microscope.
It would have been better if that ended up on the Discovery Channel or something.
We started off super professional, and then we just kind of circled.
Well,
back
that's what it's all about. We have some fun.
I'm going to say it right now. If you're still listening 14, 15 episodes in and you're offended now, come on.
You're right. I've listened to him. You're right.
Yeah. I think we're good. Where do you think, we've talked about all the technology. We talked about the progression. We talked about where you came from. We talked about dildos.
Yeah.
Where do you see, where you've always been on obviously the cutting edge of the technology. So who better to ask, where do you see this industry headed in the next 5 years?
So we're working on some projects right now that are kind of
top secret,
undercover, and it's using different technology and bigger technology. And I feel that we as a whole, as the industry, is going to evolve into more of a OEM style, or with technology that's coming or is present now, and the size of the machines that you can buy, it's going to be easy to create panels that are OEM, meaning it's not a flat piece of MDF on the back wrapped in vinyl or leather, meaning it's when you take a door panel off a car, it's 3-dimensional on the front, it's 3-dimensional on the back, it's like ABS plastic like new cars are, wrapped in leather. It's a lot lighter.
You talking about nylon woven polymers?
Maybe.
So that would obviously lead to a replication of those said panels.
It would, and it will, and it is. I think that the material and the techniques are going to change drastically with technology quickly now. If you think about technology over the last 30, 40 years, in the last 8 or 10 years, it's really changed, right? Like, I think CAD has changed the world. And I think you can all probably agree with that. Any kind of precision or anything now, you can do in CAD, know ahead of time what it's going to look like, what it's going to perform like, everything ahead of time. And I think that in our industry, I hope that more people catch on to the technology side and start creating these panels that these cars deserve, instead of taking the paneling off their great aunt's double wide trailer, putting foam on it and wrapping it in leather. I think that the materials is what's going to change. The technology's changed a ton already. The 3D printing and machining, we're evolving, we're doing that. But it's the materials that are coming. It's the carbon fibers. It's the 3D printing of carbon fibers. It's the 3D printing with resins and the accuracy that you get, and the size of the machines that are going to allow us to start producing these one-off panels quickly. Where in the past you'd have to make molds, where you would have to have some injection molded, where you're not going to do that anymore. I think it's definitely the materials that are going to change, drive the next 5 or 10 years, and then figuring out how to incorporate those materials into cars. And not the materials, not the leathers, not the suede, but the materials that you actually build the products out of.
That's exciting.
So are we going to get to the point where we don't need to send a car down to Florida for you to do the upholstery and the interior on it?
I can't hear you.
Are we going to get to the point where we don't need to send a car down to Florida?
No. That's never going to happen. Maybe someday.
We
no,
scan it, you machine it, you send it back, we bolt it in, done.
Well, the scanning's and like sharing CAD has been really advantageous in just accelerating the process to where I know we can share a lot of stuff prior to a car ever getting there, and you can help give us some guidance on some things to change long before it's painted, and you can get moving on some things long before the car ever gets to you. So that
was kind of one of the last things I wanted to touch on if we have more time. Is that
we have a lot
we've
more
got
time
all the time, and you're the one that's gonna have to get. I'm sure your phone's probably blowing up right now.
We've got
My
lots
wife
more.
is fucking pissed.
Nope.
We've got lots more questions. Would you like to
She knows I'm spending time with the boys tonight.
You want to take a 5-minute break? Do you need to use the bathroom or anything?
Because Josh does. I think that's what he's getting at.
Oh, I can ask the question and peace out. I just was going to give him the option.
No, I'm good right now.
All right, well then keep going.
Okay, so we talked about the technology and how we take the techniques and all that. I think what is really turned us in the direction where people are starting to follow us more and starting to mimic what we do is on the three-dimensional side, on the 3D side, because now everybody's buying CNC routers or lasers, and we talked about a little bit ago. They're making the A-pillars that you talked about, Jeremy, and they're layers, right? They're just layers because they can cut layers out on their router, or they can cut layers out on the laser,
stack them up.
and they can stack them up and put fasteners through them, right? And so it's the three-dimensional side that has changed dramatically with CAD now. I've created my own evil though, because as you well know, on the CAD side, it's not fast all the time. There's a lot of trial and error and learning the CAD program. You're very fortunate, to have Mike and to have, his background in SolidWorks. When I met you, I did 2D CAD to cut out 2D parts. I didn't know anything about 3D. With a former employee, he started doing a little bit of 3D when I hired him because he could understand. I was trying to explain to him what we were going to do by stacking these parts up, and we're going to fill between them and get these three-dimensional shapes. He couldn't get it, so he went home and learned SolidWorks, and kind of turned me onto the 3D side of it. And with the 3D side now, it totally lets you visualize anything ahead of time, so you can approve something, a customer can approve something. It's not just a 2D, like you said, a rendering, trying to wrap your head around a 3D version of it. So with 3D comes new machinery and new techniques, right? So we bought the small 3D printer in the beginning, and we were printing everything you can think of that would fit in a 5x5x7 little thing.
Yeah, bezels and trim pieces and things like that.
Exactly. And it was cool. We were blown away. But we knew, just like I talked about a minute ago, that we had to keep evolving. And so I wwent out and I just happened to be flipping through the internet one day, and I found a company called Big Rep. And they have the Big Rep 1 at the time, which I still currently have. And I did some research on it, and I'm like, holy cow, this is a game changer. Now we can 3D print parts that we can put in a car, and not just little trim bezels anymore. And so went to Matt, and we did the research on it. We purchased a Big Rep, 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. And once we started getting into the three-dimensional side of the upholstery world is where we were able to take Chris's renderings and do our best to fit them to the environment that was given to us, in the car, and making them look real. There's one thing to take a rendering and take ideas from it. Most renderings are like stop signs. They're a suggestion. Yep. So, you take what you can from it and you move on. But on the 3D side now, we have that ability to truly replicate what you're looking for. And with the purchase of the 3D printer, it's slow. I think you recently purchased one.
We did.
And it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it gives you a product that you would have to wait to machine and glue things together in the past by making little parts on little 3D printers. It gives you the ability to make full-size parts now, right? Yep. And so we took more of the pros and the cons from it, and we moved forward. Now we run all day, every day. Then we started getting into the 3D machining. So now we're to the point where we're 3D printing parts, but some things take so long doesn't really make sense that we could 3D machine them now. So with our CNC router, we have a 5x12 CNC router that has like a 20-inch Z on it. So now we can 3D machine a panel that's 15, 16 inches deep by 5 foot by 12 foot if we wanted to.
Sure.
And so that started opening our eyes. So then we started creating this combination of 3D printing and machining together. And that's got us to where we are today. We look at the pros and cons of each machine and the efficiency and what machine's being tied up right now, what machine can be used right now. And that's how we navigate these projects. Is you'll get interiors back from us. You probably won't know it, people won't know it, but some of it's machined, some of it's printed, some of it's routed. One thing you won't ever find is wood. We don't use wood in our cars. We don't use MDF that can swell with water.
No common boards, no 2x4s, nothing pressure treated. It's all
no.
Grandma's basement paneling.
Yeah, grandma, great aunt's paneling. No, but it's been the combination of technology that has done what we are today, and that's I think where a lot of people are jumping on board. And we just got back. I told you from Phoenix, and Matt Bow and I did the training on the future that you were just talking about, Josh. The future of art industry, right? What's next? And we took our 3D scanner out there, and before we went, we made a prop, and we took a 63 Impala and scanned the rear quarter panel and 3D printed a 40-inch big display of a cross section of an Impala, painted it. Miguel in our paint department painted it for us, Nardo gray, and then it was a trunk inside of a trunk, and then we did the two sides.
We did a
That's
trunk.
interesting.
We did a trunk Nardo gray, didn't we? But the whole car was it?
Yeah, it was a sport classic gray.
Okay, sport classic.
I
Go
believe.
ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, we took this display out there, and we talked about the steps that took to do what we do today in a watered down version, and we showed scanning our model. We had scanned it to make the model, but we showed scanning as a model. So we showed how we scan and how we turn that data into CAD data, and then how we machine the parts. And then we talked about that's the future. So we have this next wave of people now. We talked about that earlier. The older guys were the ones coming to the class before, but now we got these young kids that can visualize from playing video games or just being on computers in general, that can take these programs now and do 10 times the we can here probably. But now I think it's given them drive to do something different from just the 12-volt stuff. Now they're moving into, oh wait, we can 3D print parts, or we can do this. And so that's the future we're teaching the young 12-volt guys and the younger upholstery guys now too. But it's all back to the technology though, and we talked about all night tonight. We wouldn't be where we were today.
Well,
and you guys weren't where you were either.
No, absolutely. But I got to ask, with all the technology stuff aside, how many of these cars with your interiors have you ridden in or driven? Have I taken you for a ride in any of these things that you can think of?
I don't
You
think
stole
I've
my
ever
direction. I was going to ask him next.
Well, yeah. Have you driven any of? So this is like the byproduct of a very good interior. Is that, like, I've touched on this in a few. We've done some videos about like drivability and some things. Ride quality. Okay. Everybody always wants to know about like ride quality, shock settings.
Ride quality is a broad statement.
Yeah. Ride quality is a huge, it encompasses so many different things. And that's something I'm surprised is, as close as we are, I'm surprised we haven't connected yet.
We're so far away.
Exactly. But to take a rip in some of these cars, because what a lot of people don't understand is the importance of an interior on ride quality. Because if you, like, for example, we get a car done, let's call it a 68 Camaro. We did one recently that you did the interior in. You get that car done, and we sort it all out when it's finished, assembled. It's got 2 seats in it. There's no interior, and it's great. It does a lot of things very well, handles very well, performs very well. It rides good, but it leaves a lot to be desired from what I would call a ride quality standpoint. When I say ride quality, it's not,
call it driver pleasure.
Yeah,
It's the environment you're in.
It's right. Phil said that's the best way to say it. It's the environment that you're in. When that car comes back with one of your interiors in it, it is. I mean, I don't want to keep tooting your horn here,
You are.
and I
Yeah.
am, and I expect.
That's why I love you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I expect to be frank with you, a fucking royalty check from Matt, a fucking big one, right?
Or
But-
free interior on one of our next cars.
But it's the best improvement next to installing a chassis in your car. That's the second thing that you should do
You ain't
when
lying.
you're looking
Yep.
to optimize ride quality and drivability and enjoyment of the car, because just the tightness, the sound deadening, the ergonomics, the feel. I think, like I've talked about that, like Rogan's Camaro. That was like it's a really neat car. It has a lot of very cool shit going on there, and the interior, it's really not like at a glance. And I think you'd agree, it's not like it's not mind blowing. It's not something that you're gonna like say, holy fuck, like from a style standpoint.
From a visual standpoint.
But fit, finish, and the functionality and what it adds to the car,
It's mind-blowing there.
it's mind blowing.
And it's like that Mercedes level where you slam the
Yes.
door. I love busting your balls probably more than anything. So I don't really want to have your head get too big on this one, but driving in the cars is such a night and day difference.
Matt
Just
Saxon Chevelle
yeah,
the
that's-
same way.
Yes.
part of the joy of just driving it. Everything is so solid. There's no noise, vibration, anything. It just feels like you're in an OEM new, like super high end car.
If we could
And-
sell an avant-garde interior with every chassis, oh,
It would make it like 25% better than the way just that chassis itself
Right.
performs. And that's a byproduct that you don't understand that happened like without you even knowing it. But your techniques, the sound deadening, the way I know you've got a certain way that you have like a self-leveling floor insulator that you do. All the things that you do and the tightness of the panels and the fit and finish, it absolutely
well,
amplifies the
anybody
car's
that's listening
performance.
right now that's built enough cars knows when you're driving a car that first time that you've built, or you're shaking out some bugs or whatever. Like you said, the environment that you're in, the ride quality, all of that is a multitude of things. So a too bouncy of a seat could translate into possible poor ride quality.
Yep.
A rattle, a wind noise, a squeak, a harshness in a panel of a beating here and there. Something that we've seen for probably 2 decades is the shifter lever hitting the console,
tapping the console.
tapping the console. That's something that could lead your person to think that it's a poor driving experience.
But when you get
I agree. I agree 100%. We spend a lot of time on user environment, user experience, ergonomics. Can they reach the switches? Can they reach this? Are you going to see through that steering wheel to see those gauges? And then how we mount our panels is probably the biggest thing that we do. If you've ever taken one of our interiors apart, which I know you three have been part of it, but there's no screws, there's no drywall screws, it's all threaded fasteners, into rib nuts into the door that literally makes that door panel part of the door itself. And like Phil said, you shut one of our doors and it's like shutting a Mercedes or a German car. It's how it should be.
Well, there's some people,
a $500,000 car.
Some people listening are going to think this is, cliche and it's easy to say. Everybody, it's OE quality. OE quality has been said for the last 30 years, but true OE quality. And when it really does make that big of a difference, I think that people are going to listen and be like, oh, they're overstating things. But until you experience it, it really is. It's that big of a fucking difference.
As you like you're driving a nice, your normal daily driver, and then you get a rental car and it's some shitty little 2-door hatchback.
Right.
And it just sounds hollow and road feel, you get all the vibration and everything through it. And this car just sucks.
Right.
And although
You're
the
right.
little stuff you do, it makes a huge difference.
Josh, you were right. It's like everything's good, but you get that one bad taste in your mouth, and it will subconsciously give you a bad experience, whether it be about the interior, or whether it be about the car itself, or the ride of the car, anything about the seat. If your head's in the headliner, you're not comfortable, you're scrunching down, you're not going to enjoy driving that car.
I hate to harp on the fact that we've been doing this for so long, but I think people listening in other shops that are building cars right now can relate to the fact there's so many different things. It's how your right elbow lands on that console or what that console feels like. It's that dash pad that interacts with that A-pillar. That's that constant little, and all those little small things. These are nice interiors. It looks very good. I say looks very good. They win the awards. They do what they need to do. But when it comes from a driver standpoint, those things, it's like they just start to grate on your nerves enough. And then, like we talked about before, you start to accept it that it's
a show car.
It's custom car. It's a show car,
Yeah.
And that's the difference when you have an avant-garde interior. When you're driving it, you just I don't know. They can edit this up and cut it up however you want to, but it's the overall package that puts that smile on your face. Like Jeremy's talked about the Rogan's Camaro. That's a cool ass car. There was nothing about that was like
loud and in your face,
earth shattering. Push the bar to any one level. It was just a really good, really well done car. But driving it and enjoying it and actually using it for a weekend at a time and stuff like that is when you saw the beauty in it. That it's like, it looks pretty fucking cool. It sounds pretty fucking cool. It handles really awesome. And the driving experience is just, there's nothing so harsh that you have to make excuses. That's I guess, the best way of describing something is when you don't have to make any excuses to yourself, that you're just truly happy, that you're just enjoying
to yourself or to a passenger. You're not making excuses. You're absolutely, you hit the nail straight on the head. You just are happy driving the car,
right?
And that's how it should be.
And that
you don't drive a BMW or a Mercedes because it's cool. You drive a Mercedes or BMW because it's a German vehicle, because of how it handles, or because of how it sounds. It's quiet going down the road. And I think our company and your company, I think we had the same mentality when it comes to that. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. We're not going to do it half-assed. And that it all goes back to that end product that you take good, it makes better. You're not starting with shit somewhere. And so I think that's what a good teamwork does, and that's what we've done.
What do you got yourself something there, Jeremy? Did you bring yourself some show and tell?
Disassembled a car.
Yeah, I just assembled a car.
Did you bring enough for everybody?
I did. I had to make a little bathroom break, and while I was down there, I figured we've been talking about this enough, and now that we have this beautiful studio and everybody can see us on camera, what better way to showcase what we've been talking about than the actual piece of the interior? And look at that. I mean, that's the backside of one of these suckers. So you can see, ordinarily, you'd be looking at like the backside. If you're familiar with the backside of a piece of...
First of all, if you're listening to this right now, you're in the industry of building custom cars.
Yeah.
So you've had a custom interior done. Period.
Right.
You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah. So this is a panel which is, I think that's an important panel to be easily disassemblable. Disassemblable. Is that a word? That you can disassemble easily.
It's easily disassembled.
Yes.
San Diegans.
Yes. San Diegans. The divide panel, like, in your trunk, where all your electronics are. You've got a battery, you've got a cutoff
switch. Where you hide all your shit.
Yeah. So there's a panel that pops in and out of the car in about 2 seconds. And the back of it is braced with, I would assume that the general panel itself is MDF. Is that right?
He says he used no MDF.
What is this?
It's all plastic, right? Or PVC?
We call it AG board.
AG board.
Avant-Garde board.
Like I said,
Uh-huh.
First of all, that's bullshit. So because you can't go down to the local Home Depot and buy some AG board.
You can't.
No, you can't.
Not yet.
but the back side of the panel is just like anybody or a lot of people can wrap a panel beautifully in leather. I mean, the pleats are super nicely tucked. It's got an awesome little GTO 4-cam machined by the Roadster Shop emblem. But the backside is a very impressive piece. You've got all these countersunk magnets. The whole backside of this panel is painted black, and the leather is wrapped around the corner and perfectly trimmed around the entire perimeter of this.
There's no staples.
Yeah, you don't have a
There's
staple.
There's a groove for the leather to set into when you wrap it around.
Yeah, it's countersunk.
And
I get it. It's fucking badass.
So yeah, super badass. And I learned firsthand about like what it's like to work for Jeremy Carlson, because we were down there when sometimes hot rod shops will put an impossible deadline on an interior shop.
You don't say.
It happens from time to time. You know, these damn interior shops.
Rarely.
Yeah, they wait till the last minute to get started. And then like a car show comes up and the interior shop.
The trunk's done though.
Well, the interior shop is like, hey, let's bring this car to this car show. I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna have to like, get it done really quickly if you want to bring it to that show. You know how that goes, right?
I know what you're talking about.
You did the last one in 16 days, so 14 days should be no problem.
So me and Chad were down there with it was the Inferno Camaro. And I, for the first day, we were like twiddling our thumbs because Jeremy didn't want us doing anything. And I think once we made him like aware of the fact that we're capable of doing things, he finally was willing to put us to work. And I think like
I gave you a broom first.
Yeah, and I did a good job sweeping. But we've got panels, and he says, well, I mean, if you could paint it, like you could take it into the paint room and paint the back of the panel. And even I'm saying, and I'm pretty detail oriented, I'm like, dude, it's the back of the fucking interior panel. Like, why? What do you want?
And you're there waiting on the car. Like you're waiting for the car to be done so you can go with it. And I have to paint the back.
And he like forced me into masking and painting the back side of our own interior panels. And when it was all said and done, I mean, it makes a difference.
Did I get billed for him painting our own interior panels?
Maybe not me, but Chad probably, because Chad was there too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But my employees hate me at times. It'll be 1 or 2 in the morning before SEMA and transporters sitting here and we're painting panels in the back. There's some things I just won't let up. I won't do it. We're going to mask the panels off and we're going to paint the back on black and we're going to let them dry and then we're going to put it in the car and let it go to the show. Jeremy, I know you remember you told me several years ago when you were building the Catalina.
Yep.
For Barry. You had kept telling him about maybe bringing the car to Florida for the interior, and I don't think he was too stoked on it. It was so far away, so much money or whatever it was. And I think you told me a story that he had happened to be in a shop on a Saturday or something like that, walking around. And you showing the back of one of the panels like you just did there, and I think the comment was, or you told me it was, well, if he can finish the panel that nice in the back, he can build the front of my panel or something like that. You know what it was, but it's a perfect example of why the attention to detail, because you never know.
Right.
It's the same thing of having a facility like I do that's cleaned every single day, because you don't know who's going to walk through that front door tomorrow.
Yep.
So if it's one thing to prep for somebody coming, but if somebody shows up unexpectedly, just like that panel Barry flipped over on a Saturday and looked at the back of it, if he would have never picked up that panel, we probably wouldn't have done the Catalina interior.
You just never know.
Yeah, it's the attention to detail, and the details you don't let go. I mean, you just got to. It's who you are, right? It's who I am. I'm detail oriented. I'm whatever, but I'm not ever going to let that part go.
Well, that's great, man. I mean, at this point, you're as detail oriented as you are, and the quality that you've delivered, you've attracted a lot of big names. I mean, you've got cars from the Ring brothers at this point, Jeremy Miranda, Dutch Boys. I mean, Detroit Speed. You've kind of attracted all the big names, haven't you?
We have, and we're super humbled and blessed by it still. It's some days, you guys probably know, but most people don't know. I come to work at 4:30 in the morning, 4:40 in the morning every morning, and I'm here, a good 3 hours before my guys get here. And there's some mornings I sit in my office now, and then I had a Red Bull at 5 o'clock in the morning. I eat my Pop-Tarts, the same Pop-Tarts, the same Red Bull every single morning. And I sit on my couch sometime in my office, and I'm flipping through YouTube or whatever I'm doing to kill time for myself. And I'm truly humbled to this day of where we've become and where we started from, and what the products that we're turning out, and more importantly, the people that we're associated with. Because in the big picture, that's what it's all about, right? It's who you spend your day with. It's who you spend your time with. It's who you communicate with. The rest of it, it is what it is. But to have that life that we've created with the customers that we have and the technology we have, the industry, and myself especially, we're super humbled every single day still.
I'm so glad you say that. I'm so glad you say that, because there's so many other customers that you could have, but that call me and they're like, "Hey, what's the deal with this?" I'm like, "Dude, he's a fucking weirdo. Like, you don't want to see that." Because we've got like Bobby Alloway all the time, every time. "Hey, so what's the deal with that Avant-Garde?"
Are you telling me he's a weirdo?
I'm telling you, like, you don't want to deal with him, because he is. We've got to make sure that we can get our shit done.
Oh, so
we
can't sandbagging?
Yeah, 100% sandbagging.
I was gonna say the only person that probably feels humbled is fucking Pop-Tart. Like, he's talking about eating Pop-Tarts and drinking Red Bulls. Red Bull's like, yeah, who the fuck's this guy? We've got, the Formula One team and, Max Verstappen, and
hey,
Pop-Tarts like,
I love a Pop-Tart.
Holy shit, man. This dude's got
Avant-Garde.
This guy's eating our Pop-Tarts.
What flavor? What flavor Pop-Tart?
I was going to say, sidebar. Hold on. Let's guess.
Blueberry. That's a fucking blueberry Pop-Tart.
Don't say a thing.
That's a blueberry Pop-Tart.
I'm saying cinnamon sugar. No. Because that's mine.
That's a solid Pop-Tart.
I'm eating a fucking some more. And I'm throwing it in the microwave for 30 seconds.
We're not talking about
burning the shit out of my tongue.
Well, you're a fucking weirdo.
That's a blueberry Pop-Tart.
What's your guess?
I'm going to go blueberry as well. And he just left. You making Pop-Tarts? You put them in the toaster too. I guarantee you put them in the toaster.
Toaster right over here.
Yeah.
Cinnamon sugar?
Brown sugar? Is that the brown sugar?
Brown sugar and cinnamon.
Shit.
It's a good Pop-Tart.
That's fucking my Pop-Tart. Yeah.
That's a good Pop-Tart.
That's right, Jeremy.
One of my all-time favorite memes is all the technology we have, and we can't get the frosting to the edge of a Pop-Tart.
That's right. That's funny.
What flavor Gatorade do you like?
I drink orange.
Ooh,
what are you, a fucking cop?
No, that's a trick answer right there.
That's a very trick answer. That's the only one that's the flavor and the color.
Yeah, that is right. My mind was thinking like, an orange, like an orange. Yeah.
Purple drink.
Yeah. So next up, what is your 3? You got to name them. You got to rate them right now. What are your 3 all-time favorite builds that you've worked on?
And be honest. You don't have to worry about anybody's feelings.
In my whole career, or just in the upholstery world? Or?
Look, seriously, don't make this complicated. It's just a fucking simple question.
Yeah, for fuck's sake.
Well, the one closest to my heart will always be the Nova that we did for Miranda, because that was the one on the upholstery side that really, I think,
started off.
Kind of people figured out who we were.
Valid answer.
That's the one that's closest to my heart. Probably my all-time favorite project would be Road Rage. I wanted to kill every single person involved with Road Rage before it came to us for the 17 days that we were given to build it. But once that car was done, it was, I think, probably one of the most complete packages of cars we worked on. From, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just a complete package. It was everything wrapped up in one that you'd ever want a car, a hot rod to be.
The closest,
it had the technology.
Closest to an OE interior that I've seen, in my opinion.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was. Yeah, we killed it on that car, and I don't brag very much, but we killed it on that car. And that dash is 2-piece. That's carbon fiber wrapped in leather. We made molds in 17 days and popped carbon fiber doors out and dashes out wrapped in leather. So it was a lot of work, and between your team and our team, that car, whoever won that, I don't remember who won Battle of the Doors that year, but
not that car.
It should have went the other way for sure, because if anybody truly seen what went into that car from your end or from our end, it was truly a work of art and a car that was the definition of street machine. I mean, of battleability.
You know this. You've been doing this long enough. You want a fucking trophy 3D print one.
Yeah.
You can have whatever trophy you want.
That car with that interior is an absolute winner in my book, because you get in that car, you would not know that you're in a classic car. That I've driven, not myself, but we've had a customer that gave me the opportunity to drive his was it that Lambo that was it a Aventador?
Yeah.
That fucking car is tighter and does everything better. I'm not even bullshitting you.
No, I've driven it.
Aventador.
And
I think you would agree, because that's one of
my
the
favorite car to drive.
my redneck interpretation would be that is a mid to late 2000s Ferrari.
Yeah.
With a 70s era Trans Am or NASCAR engine in it. That's the juxtaposition of driving that car, that it's so smooth and it's so refined and it's so European feeling, but the sound and the view that you have is so I'm basically fucking Dale Earnhardt. Like that's what you're getting. It is.
That's a fucking sports car.
Yeah. It is. It's the stance. It's the stance. It's the girth. I mean, it's the width, the hips. It's everything. It puts that whole car. And then you add in the suspension in the rear seat, and then the cantilever suspension in the front. I mean, people just look at it like in disbelief. Like, what is this?
That car, the performance of that car too. Seeing Phil rip that fucker around for the very first time it was probably driven, and that he drove it, because the
upholstery shop took too long to get it done.
They took fucking 17 days instead of 16 days.
That was Phil showing out. Yeah. It was Phil showing out.
Phil gets in it and drifts that thing like fucking Ken Block through the autocross course.
He took a 16-foot car, put it through 15-foot gap, and never touched anything.
This kind of a big deal.
Some guy with a Maverick.
We lost to a Maverick.
Ends up beating him out.
Yes, basically a Pinto. It's basically a Pinto.
It is.
It's like stock Maverick.
That's like a LTD Pinto, or like the LZ. Yeah, it's like a
SVT,
like a step up from the base model Pinto.
Goes 200 miles an hour with classic instruments gauges.
Reading Auto Company, if you guys want to check him out.
Definitely think you should.
All right, we only got 2 out of 3. What's the third? Final answer.
Third?
For the third one, it's a tie. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be the Camaro we did for Dutch Boys.
That's
the
a cool
maroon
car.
Camaro we did for Dutch Boys. McPhee's car. It, like Road Rage was, the car itself was super advanced, right? And we got it, and we're like, what the hell you want us to do with this? And we put an interior together that we feel fit the car. I felt like it looked like a race interior themed, and how the whole car came apart. We built the floors and everything similar like we did in the yellow Camaro and Inferno. And you could take the whole interior out in about 10 minutes for serviceability. And there's something about this aluminum and some of the features in that car that I really enjoyed doing. It wasn't just another '69 Camaro with black leather and black carpet, so it was definitely different. So
for sure. Yeah, that thing was rad.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Now we come to the standard ones. This is the ones we ask every single guest that has been on Oil and Whiskey. And I'm super excited to hear, because Jeremy is a little bit of I'd say not full pinky out.
If you want to talk about the pocket dump, I'd bet this business, the Roadster Shop, that there's some fucking chapstick in his pocket.
We haven't gotten there right now, but you want to start there?
Yeah, we're going to start there.
Let's start there. What is in your pocket right now? It's time to do a fucking pocket dump, pocket check for Jeremy Carlson of Avant-Garde.
You're going to be really disappointed.
If there's no fucking chapstick, I'm going to be pissed.
I don't know who you're signing the Roadster Shop over to, but I have nothing in my pockets tonight, only because I put jeans on. I was in shorts all day working, but I put jeans on.
Well, where's your fucking shorts at? Where's your fucking shorts at?
Go grab the shorts, dump them out.
I don't, they're on the desk. I don't carry anything in my pockets. I carry my cell phone and my wallet, and that's the only thing I carry. I don't carry change. I don't carry anything else.
You haven't listened to a fucking episode if you didn't come prepared.
Yeah. I have, and I was planning on bringing out a little picture of Jeremy with like a little baseball card looking thing, like a picture I carry around with me all day, and a little bottle of
Let's just end. Can we just end this right now? Can we stop? Are we
this
done?
is-
yeah.
Oh, that is the
I mean, I
worst.
was
It is literally.
I was gonna wear my Ring Brothers keychain, but
We'll just cut this out and pretend we didn't even ask
We
it.
will.
We forgot to ask
Yeah.
it.
Ugh.
Fucking Gail Banks is 80-something years old, and
Yeah, he's
Whooped
driving
your
a fucking
ass.
he
C8.
literally owned you in the
Yeah.
pocket dump.
What is,
Do you think the last time we visited Josh's desk dump, how did that work for you?
Well, first of all, don't. This was me and you both. Don't
no,
throw
I
it
just
all at me.
moved stuff around. You emptied everything that was on his desk.
Yeah, we were doing it together.
I'm pretty sure you got billed for that.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah,
What is
I
the
appreciate that.
what is the best car movie and why?
What is it? What was the question?
What is your favorite car movie and why?
Oh man,
And
that's-
Magic Mike does not count because
And
they're
If
like
you
those are
say
just regular cars. In that
if
movie.
you say Herbie the Love Bug, we're gonna find.
Oh, Jesus Christ. A, I don't really like cars. And B, I don't watch movies.
Yeah, he's an interior guy that
Yeah.
doesn't do interiors,
this-
and a car guy that
This
isn't
was
really
going.
into
This
cars.
was going so well.
I don't have an answer.
Your
All right,
favorite
that's
My
fine.
Little Pony character.
That's fine.
How
We'll-
about just
we'll pass.
favorite movie then?
That's it's gone. It's gone.
Is it?
Done.
No, but I want to know
No, listen.
Now
I'm
I
gonna
wanna
ask.
know,
I'm gonna
because-
ask the next
because that's
question.
gonna let us. We're gonna be able to dive deeper.
All right.
into
What's
who-
your favorite movie? Hold on. Let's guess. Sleepless in Seattle.
Man, shit.
Jurassic Park.
I can see, yeah. There's some kind of weird deal with him in Jurassic Park. Like he's a crazy fanboy.
He's
There's
a huge
Jurassic
dinosaur fan.
Figurines.
He's got the Explorer that
Yeah.
he's doing a custom interior in.
I would have to say, since I don't watch movies, but growing up, and probably Josh is the only one old enough to even know what I'm talking about. There was a movie that came out when I was young, and I watched probably 500 times. And there's certain things that remind me of the movie all the time, but it was rad. Remember the BMX?
Solid.
Of course.
Solid.
Years.
You redeemed yourself with that
Yeah.
one.
That was
So-
that was a fake pull.
Rad?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think he.
Yeah.
I think he phoned his friend.
I saw him Googling shit as we were
Yeah.
talking.
Huh. All right.
We met a guy.
I probably haven't seen it in 20 years or 15 years, but I've watched it 100 times before that. So
I was gonna go Swiss Family Robinson.
We met a guy who was good friends with Hollywood
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
Miranda from Rad, who slept on his couch for 2 years in his basement. That's my
Oh, really?
closest tie-in.
Yeah. Which
All right.
That's awesome.
I've got the third and final question. Well, maybe not. I got one more after this. So, what is the first car you've owned and the best story you have about that car? Before you answer, we're gonna guess. What's the first car that Jeremy Miranda owned?
Jeremy Carlson.
Jeremy Carlson.
Because we all know Jeremy Miranda had an F-250.
F250. He's at F250 after F250
Right.
after F250. Yeah. So
He
Jeremy
had 20s
Carlson,
on that thing back in like the early 90s. Carlson had a Del Sol. That's a fucking Honda Del
that's
Sol.
a good fucking. Don't
Yep.
say anything. That's a good fucking
Yeah.
call.
Beretta Z24.
Decent.
Yep. I'm going. What? How old are you right
Ooh.
now? Give me
Yeah,
give-
first car.
I'm-
It could be like a Model T.
How old are you right this very second?
46.
46.
Pontiac Sunfire.
Nope.
That was
No. You're wrong.
Probe GT.
No.
ooh,
way
solid
wrong.
pull.
Dude,
I'm going.
I'm dropping fucking heaters over
I'm-
here.
I'm going Chevette or
You think so?
S10. Chevette or S10.
Kansas boy. It could
Chevette.
be something
Yeah.
a little.
I'm going
That's a-
Chevette or S10.
Dude, I'm trying to gauge his reaction here, and he's either got a good poker face or we're way off.
I went with 2. I know that's cheating, but
One
go
of
ahead.
you were really close.
What is it?
Really,
That's this guy with the Beretta.
What is it?
it was a Honda CRX.
Oh shit! Yeah,
You were real
Yeah.
fucking close.
yeah. If he
Two-door.
had the money, he'd have gotten the Del Sol.
2-door and
Yeah.
Honda. Well,
And
Del
my
Sol's
best
too new.
friend-
For if he's 46, Del
Oh,
Sol's too new.
shit. All right.
Yeah, it was. And my best friend who passed away, but he drove the Beretta. He had a Beretta.
Nice.
Nice.
That's funny. That's
See.
pretty close.
All right.
And the story to go along with the CRX is, I had that car for about 8 months until I was teaching my girlfriend to drive a stick on a dirt road, and she rolled it 3 times, and the car was no longer. So
Holy
that was
shit.
the story to go along with the
How do you get the speed to roll it 3 times while you're learning to drive stick?
So,
downhill.
take us
It
from.
was on a dirt road and ends up with a big ditch on the sides of the roads.
Okay.
And she had a year and a half before that, she had been on the back of set on a trunk lid, and somebody took off and she fell and hit her head. And
And that's how she
Go
ended up
ahead.
with you.
Go ahead and finish
Yes.
the rest of the story. She was driving. You were in the passenger seat. You were going
Yes.
under jeans over panties. Come on, just go ahead and tell
You're
the
back
truth.
in
No,
that. That's
if
under
you
jeans
remember-
over bra or undershirt and over bra.
I
Think.
see, he's going.
No,
Huh?
little sister was sitting. If you remember, the CRX had no back seat. Little sister was sitting in between the 2 front seats on the little ledge in the back seat. So
What was that, like an 85 or 86?
yeah, 85 or 86. I had the second car was a Camaro. It wasn't 85, but it was a 85 or 86 CRX. Yeah.
All right. And now we're going to add a bonus because you failed so miserably in the pocket dump.
Because
And that's
there's-
what we're known for is the pocket dump.
Because there are no pockets in his
Yeah.
spandex bike shorts.
You basically sucked at that.
I think
It's
that's
my middle
because
pocket.
you're wearing cargo shorts, so you have
There's
multiple
shit ton of
pockets.
There's so many pockets. Besides the sexual pleasure device from SEMA, what is your favorite, your best SEMA story? You got to bring it.
Mm.
If this isn't a fucking good SEMA story, just stop
Dude,
right now.
I have a great one that revolves around him.
Well, let's see if he's got something. If he
Let's see it.
doesn't, then you can take
Okay.
over.
Well, let's talk SEMA favorite SEMA memory would probably be your last roadshow shop party that
Okay.
you had, watching Jim Ring stand on stage when it wasn't his turn to be on stage drunk. And that whole
Dude, I don't think he was drunk. That's just dementia.
He's
You know,
just,
He's
just
just aimlessly wandering
Yeah.
around.
he's just super old.
He's like Joe Biden. He's just wandering around. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Favorite SEMA story that I can talk about would probably be, I can't talk about that.
Do you think we finished the season out with the greatest SEMA story of all time?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely.
I've
That's
got
the finale.
I've got permission.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I
I think one
My-
good one that we could probably talk about.
Oh, yeah. That was good. That was good for the first 5 minutes,
Until-
and then after that,
until somebody else knew what it was.
yeah.
that still happens around our shop. There was a time where we may have had a couple of people in the trunk of a car in a cab because they weren't allowed. They wouldn't take us because there was too many people, and we put people in the trunk, and they started yelling halfway down the road, and the cops came, and we got pretty serious trouble for transporting illegals. They said that's what the cops told us. People that weren't illegals. But it was
Tim looks
that was
illegal.
that was an interesting night. The cab driver, we got him to race, and he told us about a place called the Green Door there, and I guess it's a swingers bar, and it led to a much more interesting night with the cab driver. But
Especially
we'll leave it
you,
at that for now.
you and your martinis. I bet that did lead to an interesting night.
Dude, I've got this is such a good opportunity for me to tell mine because it's Carlson based.
Bring it.
Do you
I'm
remember?
sitting back and listening.
I think we were all there.
Do you remember?
So
Do you remember?
we were on a run
We-
Wrong
of
song.
all of us.
back to back to back, not winning Battle of the Builders, just generally placing in the middle of the pack.
So that's been every time since you've never won.
Every
Battle of the
time,
Builders.
right. So after the first year showing up to do the whole TV thing completely fucking hungover, getting hammered drunk the night before, I thought
We always say
Phil and
this will
I
never happen again.
Yes, we realized we're like, oh, that was horrible. I mean, we're sitting out in the sun. I'm hungover. We're never doing that again.
And when do we drink the most?
Thursday night,
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night. Sorry.
Or Thursday.
So-
night.
That's Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night. So Carlson here takes us out with Matt, who Matt runs with a little different group. It's a different group of guys. And we are out drinking. And I try to like respectfully say, oh, yeah, all right, we'll see you guys in the morning. We got this whole thing going on tomorrow. We'll see you guys. It was not happening. Matt would not allow that to happen. So we were basically peer pressured into hanging out all night. And we went to like from club to club to club. And that's like, ranges from the clubs where, to the other clubs. To the other clubs where you've got like the bottle service and things. And next thing I look over and Dean, you remember Dean? Some guy leans over and he's starting. Dean punches him in the face. And then we transition from that guy getting punched into the face to next thing I know, me and Phil are talking to Matt's buddy who like owns Timberland or something. Next thing we know, he's texting fucking Barack Obama. You remember that?
Yeah.
He's showing pictures like, this is Michael Schumacher's Formula One car. God, that's pretty badass. That's me driving it. Oh, fuck, that's really badass.
Yeah. Then it got after that, like
We were forced into breakfast at 5:30
oh yeah,
in the morning.
and then it was either you or Matt let us know that it would be incredibly like disrespectful. It reminded me of the Chappelle show deal where he's like, "Have some pancakes, bitch," and that was exactly what it was like.
We're going to breakfast. No, I think we're going to go to sleep. It's like 4:00 in the morning. We got to get up, be on stage all day tomorrow. No, we're going to breakfast.
You're gonna have some. You're gonna have some breakfast.
You're gonna have
We don't want breakfast.
pancakes.
Yeah. So there we are. At
Fuck
fucking
your
breakfast.
couch.
Yeah. We are out until
6 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning.
6. Yeah.
And we come stumbling back. I literally came back into the hotel just to take a shower and to get dressed to go right out the door to hustle to get there in time for the Battle of the Builders deal.
And then Bud's in your face. Like, bring the excitement, man. You got to come on. It's fucking Battle of the Builders.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I am sweating, white as a ghost.
I got a giant lemonade from one of the vendor stands.
Yeah.
He did not have a
He did not, because that would not work well for him. And then filled that with vodka. And I think a little bit of Red Bull in there too to keep it going.
I think that
hair
was
of the
the
dog.
I think that was the deal where we had to grab a Bloody Mary on the way from one of those little like
Oh, good grief.
stands just to
That-
knock
That
the
was an
edge off.
epic night. It was
Yeah.
for sure. It was. I remember.
Must be nice hanging out at SEMA, having all that fun.
Yeah. So yeah, wild night.
Well,
It's different when you roll with people like that.
It is. Yeah, because I'm used to rolling with you where like, we're texting and we're chatting and we're having a great time. And then 5 o'clock hits and you just fucking straight stone me because it's time to go home.
5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. Yeah. And
At least I don't text you at 5 a.m. when I get here.
that's true.
Jeremy, it's been great.
They've been awesome.
Appreciate it.
And I appreciate you having me on. Truly.
Had a blast, man.
When are we going to see each other again? Where are you going to be at? You be at
We're
Columbus?
gonna try Columbus. I think we're gonna try to do Columbus, and then probably SEMA.
Awesome, dude.
We'll see you at Columbus. Can't wait. That's only
And if
a month
not,
away.
Yeah, if not, Jeremy's got Rogan's wild.
He's got a
little
car. He's
project
got a car there.
that's going on down there.
He's
We
got a
might just
car.
pop in and see you here before that's done.
How's the trunk looking on that? I'm excited.
He's an
Right.
ass man. For anybody who doesn't know, Carlson is an ass man.
You know who else is an ass man? Rogan.
Really?
Yep.
He likes.
Think about the cars he likes.
Well, I'm just talking about in the trunk, not the trunk itself. Inside the trunk.
Oh, okay. So he's an anus man, not an ass man.
If that's the way you want to put it. That's a conversation for maybe the second podcast because there's so
Yeah.
much to talk about.
The after hours one.
Yeah.
Appreciate
There's
it,
nothing
Jeremy.
wrong with the trunks. Come on.
Yeah, except nobody else sees him. But other than that,
We 4,000 hours worth of work, and you close the lid.
well, no, true serious business. People see him, but they don't see him at a show. So if it comes to the interior or the trunk, let's get the interior done first. If we have to go to a show and shut the trunk lid, nobody knows the trunk's not done. After the show is done, you can finish the trunk. Truth.
Words to live by.
That's truth.
Still need road rage back.
Yep.
All right, we'll take care of you. Jeremy, it's been great. Appreciate it.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it. No
We'll
worries,
send your
we'll talk
wife
to you
and
soon.
we'll send your wife some flowers or an edible arrangement for letting you stay out this late on
You
Friday
were in-
night.
you were in
We
so
sure
much trouble.
appreciate it.
All right, guys.
All right, later, dude.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
See ya.
All right.
Yeah.
It's time for the glove box, where we tell you about some of the cool new gear, guns, EDC shit, whiskey, and other stuff that we're into. This In the Glove Box segment is brought to you by Bear Brakes. What is there left to be said about Bear Brakes? Seriously.
It's as good as it gets. I mean, there's certainly nothing bad to say.
Every car we build gets Bear Brakes. Every chassis we sell gets Bear Brakes.
There's a reason for that.
It's quality stuff.
A great customer service made here in the USA, right there in Phoenix, AZ.
Tailored to your needs.
Yep.
If you have a custom car, custom application, you can get custom calipers to match to your specification with virtually no problem.
Not to brag too much, but we could use any brake company that we would want to, and we choose to use Bear
We do.
for a reason.
Good enough endorsement right there.
Absolutely. To learn more about Bear Brakes, go to bear.com. That's BAER.com. You can also call us here at the Roadster Shop if you have any questions. Talk to Phil Smunt, Irvin Caballeras, or
Pat Webster.
Pat Webster. That's our sales guys. And soon, you can talk to Andrew. Yep.
Last name.
Andrew.
Andrew Erickson.
That's right. That's why I threw it to you, Phil. It's
Took a while to refresh.
old Drew.
Can we call him Drew? It's a solid name.
It is. It's generally Andrews or Drews, right?
I think A Drew. Hip it up a little bit.
Olake.
And before we get into this, I think I've had just a few too many Bell Meads. So I'm going to try and sober up with a little Stillhouse.
You might as
peach tea.
well send one my way. I've been trying to take it a little easy. The proof on this thing, it'll sneak up on you.
We're going to make them for all of us. Come on.
Might as well.
I'm 95% the way there.
This is gonna take you over the edge.
No, I'm
It's going to
saying
bring you to
on my cocktail creation.
Oh, you're getting close.
I'm
Right?
getting
You guys need some practice after
I'm
the
getting
heater
real
I
close.
brought last week.
Hey, oh,
Look at that.
look, you got a little sidecar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a roadie. That's got
How-
wheels.
how
That's
about-
going with me.
How about
That's
that?
got legs. Hey, to Stillhouse,
Gentlemen,
how far along are you on your apple crisp?
I'm in the R&D stages right now. A lot of research going on. You know me. I'm a classic cocktail kind of guy.
I know
I think,
you're trying to bring the heat. If Phil came out
Consider
of the gate
the-
early.
Consider the heat brought. I'm not going to lose, especially being last. I've got
You're not
something-
going to win. You'll get second place. That's a valiant
I don't
effort.
think so.
Solid effort.
I don't think so.
I know I'm not voting for you, regardless of how good it is.
I'm super deep. I'm probably 95% the way there on my peach tea. And this is some peach tea.
I'll tell you what,
whiskey right
though.
here.
I'm a peach guy, and that's that's going to be one in my favor. So as long
Hey.
as you bring an average cocktail, you're probably going to get my vote.
It's a Stillhouse.
It's a Stillhouse.
That's really fucking good.
It is.
If you-
on camera. There is no hiding the
No.
Yeah,
the
you
shot
don't
face.
get the,
That's-
like-
you can't-
You can't. Ugh.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah,
edit.
there's no.
That's a
fuck-
great shooter. I'll give
No
you that.
editing in that for sure. All right, guys, what do we have this week for In the Glove Box? Pocket dump. It's time. Who wants to go first?
I think it's just a knife review, not really a pocket dump.
You're right.
That's the same
At
shit.
this point, so it's a knife review. It's a knife transition because we've had it. We've all had knives that we picked last week, thanks to Blade HQ, and we're transitioning into a new knife. So, who wants to go first? Phil, I'm looking at you.
You
Let's-
are.
Let's get it.
I get to go first. I've been rocking the Kershaw Runt 4 little guy. Cool little knife, automatic, super sharp tip. You got to be careful with that.
That'll cut you.
It will stab you. All murdered out. Cool little red button there. Don't even know that it's in your pocket.
It's a great weekend knife.
A weekend knife?
Yeah. I see that. Like, you wear different pants on the weekend sometimes, and sometimes you need something a little smaller.
Like your cargos. Like when you're wearing cargos, you just tuck it into the cargo pocket. You don't know it's there.
Not what I was going
I get
with.
it. No, I
but
get what you guys are
no,
saying
yeah.
because Phil's talking about you don't know it's there. Obviously, when you got like
Right,
cargo pockets,
absolutely.
yeah,
You
slide
don't
it
know
in,
which
you don't know it's there.
pocket's
My-
in.
Sure.
My 18-year-old daughter has stopped me from wearing cargos several months ago. I am not allowed to wear cargo. She purged all my cargo jeans,
So what-
pants, shorts.
What you just admitted to is that
Actually owning cargos.
several months. What do you consider several?
2 to 3.
8 to 9 months ago.
I think that's stretching it. Let's go right in between. I'd say 4 months.
Well, there was a
So
couple,
you were wearing cargo
on the weekends.
shorts
On the
slash
weekends
indoor
around the
pants?
house. That was
Weekend. It was Sunday, Josh.
That was homeowner Josh doing
Wearing
some work.
cargos.
Yep.
Right out of the horse's mouth. There it is.
So many pockets.
Okay.
So, anyways, back to my knife review.
Yep.
Impressed with the Kershaw brand. I feel like I kind of slept on him for a while. Haven't looked at him in a while. Cool little knife. I would like a little longer blade on it. A little sharp on the tip. I have almost stabbed myself multiple times. But like I said, cool carry. You don't even know it's in your pocket. Good little utility piece to have.
Kershaw's bringing the heat. They had some
They
drops
are.
for a blade show this weekend. They got some Damascus stuff. I mean, it seems like they were like
There must be a new
kind of
there's-
cool, and then they were like, Kershaw's
Fair
not
enough.
really that cool. And then now they're coming back
Circle
again.
back.
Yeah, there's a designer.
Yeah.
There's a new designer over there because that little release button,
Yeah, it's
an
cool.
awful lot of detail on that little bullseye guy.
Very,
And the
very
like that-
pro tech.
I think around across the board, there's engineering teams obviously been
Doing some
ramped
cool
up
shit.
because you look at the action on that. That's probably some of the best action as far as an automatic folder.
I'm gonna have to do some digging. I don't know where Kershaw's getting all that stuff. But
They're doing it right now.
so. That's what you've been
So
rocking
that's
for
what
the
I've been
last week or
rocking.
two. So what are you transitioning to right now? Thanks
gonna
to
go-
Blade HQ.
I'm going to go like it, don't love it.
Okay.
Would like a little bigger knife.
Okay.
Daily carry. Might be a good weekend knife for your cargo shorts.
You'd lose it in your cargos.
It has nothing
Yeah.
to do with fucking cargos. Let's stop that right now.
So I picked for my next carry the QSP. There's no name on this one. Hang
You
on, I
just
gotta.
pulled it out of the box, so you're not actually carrying it.
I said
No,
for my
he's-
next carry.
For next, he's
Yeah,
just,
this
just
week.
getting started.
Gotcha.
It's on the front here. This is the Penguin D2 blade brass handle. I swiped this before either one of you two got a hold of it because this is pretty fucking cool. Brass blade, sheep's foot,
Sheep's foot blade.
sheep's foot blade shape,
Lanolin. Like sheep's
Like-
wool.
like lanolin,
Kind of, it's not the same, but yeah.
similar but different. I really like the look of it, like the color combo. It's pretty fucking heavy.
I tucked
So it's
that-
gonna be
I
a-
tucked that all the way at the bottom of the
I know,
stack,
I went to the
hoping-
bottom.
No.
That's
That
like
was-
I was rocking that ProTech before that in the brass.
Let me
handle.
check
Brass
it out.
is fucking heavy.
You
Apparently,
get the heft.
so going to be a pretty big difference going from that little Kershaw to that thing. But it looks badass.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know much about QSP.
Me neither. Better knife, better
That-
life.
That is a
Happy wife, happy
damn
life.
good knife. I don't know what the MSRP is on this, but that is a
It is not on there either. Cool design. And it comes with a cute sticker that says "Have a Knife Day" with a penguin on it.
give that a flick.
Let me give that a flick. I've watched you two struggle with it, so that's how you flick a knife.
Yeah, you're badass.
You're damn right.
That's
I was trying to flick it around a microphone.
I wouldn't mind.
you know what I like
giving that a run for a
when
week. or
when you
so.
know
You
a
could-
knife's good is when you give it that little bump, and then the back flick.
Oh, you like to go a little special, don't
Yeah,
you?
that's when you know it's a good flipper.
Yeah.
Let me
Give that back over here.
let me hear
No,
some of those.
He's gonna try to take it.
Let me hear some of those strikes. I feel like to all the listeners out there, did you guys hear?
I don't know that got the best reviews.
Did it get bad reviews? This guy's got some fucking knife strikes.
Hey, you got
Oh,
to bring
lefty,
it.
dude. The
You got-
lefty's flick.
You
Dude, don't be afraid. Get up, give that thing some, run it through its
It's
paces.
like an 80s karate movie.
Yeah, that's a lot of knife right there.
so I learned
There's a sprained thumb on that
yeah,
one.
I learned a long time ago when you're knife fighting, you've got to protect your face.
Okay.
Right? So that's what your left hand comes in for.
Gotcha.
For the
Right.
listeners
you
at home, how many knife fights have you been in?
Like 6.
Plus or minus 6?
You've been in 0 knife fights.
You don't know that.
I
I've
will
been
go
in-
on record to say I've been in 0 knife fights, and I use my knife exclusively for opening up boxes.
I've
and
been
envelopes.
between 1 and 7 knife fights. I'm still here to talk about it. That's how many knife fights I've been in.
Me too.
So you gotta draw.
Okay.
Right.
This is
I'm not standing.
everybody pay attention right now because this is
Life lessons.
Yeah.
This is a difficult
Grandpa
one.
okay.
Josh.
So all right,
I'm not
Okay.
accustomed to this knife,
Everybody shut up.
right? And then it's yeah. You have to.
You have to yelp like that.
Yeah, you have to yelp.
What is
My-
the yelp? Is it warn
Is it a
the predator?
distraction?
That scares them off more than doing anything.
I am.
You can be
Quite
3
scared.
foot.
So is the intention to ward them off with the yelp
they think
prior to the
something.
knife strike?
They think something's wrong with you. They don't fuck with you.
Because that's what I thought. I thought you were having like
I
a
was-
small seizure.
After that last video came out, I was almost disowned by my family.
Oh, I got to listen to your daughter's.
I would have
feedback on
disowned
that.
you if you were my family.
What is?
I
the-
borderline fired you. I
What
was
the-
on the fence.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you have to make those noise? What you
And
sound
I-
like you have Tourette's,
Dude, as a good friend,
Yeah.
as a good friend, you have to admit I was there for you. 'Cause
You
I'm like,
were.
dude. Those were quality knife strikes.
You did say they were quality knife
Yeah.
strikes. So
I thought you
QSP
looked like
for
a fucking
Phil.
idiot.
I thought it looked pretty badass.
Yeah, solid knife.
So QSP for you.
Good knife. Going to carry it this week. Final review next week.
Give it a review. We'll be back in studio in, I don't know, 7-10 days, something like that. And then you'll give your honest review of carrying it,
Roughly a week.
something like that. Jeremy, what
So-
have you been carrying? I know you selected.
I've been carrying.
You tried to go CEO, executive.
I did.
little
I the
fancy.
CRKT
Yep.
CEO knife, and I love it. I think that could be probably my top. It's definitely a top 5 carry because, like
Ooh.
Phil said, with that Kershaw, it's one of those knives. It's slim, but it's got a lot of blade length. It's probably like a 4-inch blade. I mean, it's long blade, but it's slim, so it slides right in
That's
your pocket.
4.5 inches if it's an inch. Seriously, it's a long blade.
At any rate,
It's
I wouldn't
slender.
trust any of Josh's
yeah. At
measurements.
any rate, it's got great action, great flipper, awesome carry. I don't think there's a knife out there from the price point for what it delivers. I don't think you could beat it. It's a really good.
It's under $100, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like $50.
Damn.
Yeah.
I
Really cool
like
knife.
Killer knife. It's
I
an
like the
impressive knife.
slenderness. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like a pen in your
But-
pocket.
As soon as you pop that
More-
out, it's got some snap
It
to
does.
it.
Yeah. More importantly,
But tonight, what have you
Switching
chosen
utilitarian
from
knife.
Blade HQ?
So, this guy here, the Mini Osborne. And-
Hmm.
This is a bit of a special knife because it's got that, and I'm going to lean on Josh here because he knows all
Knows
the textures,
things.
all the materials. What are we looking at as far as the handle?
I
on that
haven't seen this
goes?
knife. Let me see.
Touch that, taste it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's either a micarta or a G10, but I think it's a G10. But this
Okay.
is the Axis lock system from.
So
Benchmade.
So all the things that Josh said.
Yep.
And in addition to that, what attracts me the most is the blue anodized innards. Would
Yep.
you say?
Well,
Yeah.
you could say it was the liner,
Little liner.
and then it's the anodized blue standoffs
So
in
that,
between the liner locks.
in my opinion, I just call it a roadster shop. That's got the RS
this
Blue and
color
black.
palette.
That's where it's
on it.
at.
if there was a roadster shop knife
This
sent
is
by
it.
Blade HQ, this would be it.
Yeah.
The
And a cool blade style. Benchmade, so it's it's a quality knife. The only thing I will say is a bit, one drawback to it, the clip on it. It takes some effort. You got to force that sucker into your pants.
You got to work them in a little
Yeah.
bit.
That guy's tight, but actions.
it's a brand new pick.
Yeah.
You can't give a review
Yeah.
right now. You gotta-
Action's decent, blade's cool. panel's awesome. I love that blue anodized liner.
Yep.
So yeah,
It's a cool knife.
cool knife. But I'll say that CRKT. That's a
one of your
That's a
go-tos.
go out and get it knife. And a lot of things I've had, that's a cool little
Is
reference.
it CRKT or Cricket?
It is CRKT.
Yeah.
I am on the fence with the natural G10. I'm gonna be honest with you. It looks
Yeah.
glow in the dark,
Yeah,
but it's not.
you brought it in your basement and turned on the black light.
Well, it's
I
got a
did.
little bit of
Glow?
that. It's got a little bit of that 80s, 90s vibe, which appeals
Well,
to
I'm
me.
coming.
It's
I'm
like
coming
you
around.
cracked open a highlighter.
Every
Yeah.
every knife
In an absolute
manufacturer
bottle?
out there
Yeah.
is doing a version of it right
Of
now.
course
So
they are.
it's the hot thing.
It's awesome.
So
So Josh,
last go around, I chose the UTX 85-2, and what that means is the 2 is the machined version of the handle. UTX 85 is their full size. That's out the front. That is a Tonto.
It's a cool
listen,
ass knife.
that demands respect. Everybody knows that I'm a sucker for OD Green and FDE. I've been carrying this knife every single day since the time I picked it.
let me see the
What?
wear on it.
Would you like to touch it?
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that. That thing's mint.
Yeah, I take care of it. I take care of things.
Yeah. That's a blade.
Yeah, it's a
and it's
blade.
got some heft to it.
It does.
That
It's
is
got a little bit of
good-
weight to it.
That's a good.
If
hand
that
feel.
wasn't green, I would probably have stolen it from
Are
you.
If
we
it
at
was-
the point
if-
now
well,
with this?
If it was any other color,
Are we at the point
either
now with
one of
this
you.
table that we
No,
can?
not
No,
yet. It's
no.
only
We're
a
not there
couple
yet?
months
no,
old.
we've got.
There's all kinds of distressed shit.
I know
You're
we've
gonna
got-
slide your
we've
hand
got a
down, cut a finger.
specialized. We've got a
It's gonna be a
specialized
mess.
stabbing device coming.
Okay.
But this is what I've been wearing. I've been carrying. I'm a huge fan of Microtechs. Have several Microtechs.
You want to paper test it?
Oh, it's fine. You can paper. You can do the
You wanna
paper
see what's
test
up?
better. But I really enjoy this knife. It's a great size. It fits my hand well.
Let's see what's up.
I just think it's got really cool machine work on it.
Based on your
It does.
nonsense paperwork here in front of me
Go ahead.
with the Tonto blade. Let's see what we got.
He is gonna shit on your files.
I know
Okay,
he is.
Here we go. I'm sure it's good. It's a brand new blade, so that thing should be ripper. Oh, does not. That's pretty good.
You got it.
In comparison, let's see. Here we go. Round 2.
Mm.
Give this
Dude,
little guy a go.
That's
Mm.
I'll let the viewers
Yeah.
decide, but I think that the
Microtech's got
winner
the edge.
is clear on that one.
Thing's sharp.
And here we go. This guy, I
The
think
tip is
this is a little sleeper right
Yeah.
here because that sucker, nice, tight, and compact. I think we are going to be surprised.
Oh, that's got a good
That's
cut.
a clear second place.
That's a good cut. That's a arguable second place.
I think we should knife
We
fight.
got a winner though. We got a winner.
Yeah, the Microtech brings it. But for tonight, I have selected the new
Another
Boker,
green.
the Boker Plus Tonto Copper Blade OD Green
There we go again.
Scales
I
aluminum
don't. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like that word.
OD
Yeah,
Green
maybe it's
Yeah.
just when you say it.
olive drab. That's
Yeah.
what it stands for.
Don't say OD green.
So I could say olive drab.
Yes.
Okay, olive drab.
I like
green.
OD better. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, so
It's
I
fine
don't.
when you say it.
Something that,
Yeah,
maybe it's
So
because you're
it's-
looking at his face.
I think it is.
My
It's-
face?
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. dude,
Okay.
honestly.
Try this.
Okay, wait, hold on. Give me a second.
OD Green.
That's
It's not so bad, dude. It's honestly not. Yeah.
This is the Boker Plus Strike Tonto Copper Blade OD Green Scales. I'll be honest with you, the it's got a lock on it, right? It's got a lock right there for
A little
the
child proof.
I just picked this today, again, courtesy of Blade HQ. Sent us a great group of knives for us to try. So we're going to give this a little run.
You want me to
Lo-
paper test that?
Is
I
that an
love-
automatic?
Yeah, it's an automatic side. I love the colorway on it. I love the feel. Love the weight. This is a little bit heavier, mid-weight, probably 4.5, 5 ounces.
Compared to this guy.
But it's got a lock. Those are even.
Really?
Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, I think mine's heavier.
I'm going to give this a run. This is very. I've been wanting a Claymore, a Benchmade Claymore for a while. This is very similar to a Claymore, but I'm telling you, I looked at the MSRP for this before we started recording. This is like under $50.
Let me see that.
Everything that I see right now says it's going to be a great knife. We'll put it through the paces for a couple weeks and see. Go ahead and give that a paper test.
We'll give it a paper test.
Hey,
See what
Right
she'll
on
do.
the paper.
The entrance
I
could be
That was the
user
first
error,
pull.
so we're
Yeah,
gonna shift.
I
We're gonna
think-
shift over a little bit here. 'Cause you gotta bring it close to the fingertips.
you do.
That's the key. And you slide it in. More of a tear.
More of a tear.
It's a little more of a tear.
It is.
But I will say, at that price point, this reminds me of a little bit more of like a fabricator, hot
User.
rod builder
User knife.
knife, because that's got the perfect blade for. I'm gonna pry on this because this paint, this car that I brought in that they said was professionally painted, the paint's lifting, so I'm gonna
Yep.
pry on it and get to the bottom of it. I'm gonna chip these weld BBs off. I'm gonna use this to pry on that. I'm gonna open this with that. Yeah, it's got that kind of blade to it. And for $50, you can do that with it. So I
Well-
think that's kind of your knife for that.
As the famous Don Magic Wand said, green for the money, gold for the honeys. And that
You got both.
I am very much an ODG FDE fan. And
There we
That's
go.
like
Yeah.
a whole fucking alphabet right there.
we're going to give this.
There we go.
What do you mean, here we go? These are actual terms people know. OD green FDE. Gold for the money, green for the honey.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Fucking OD Green. Yes.
I think Josh
Uh.
should do all the reviews, or at least do the legwork behind them, so we can.
Well, he does the research, and he knows the things.
I'll start writing out stuff for you.
You know
to
that
read
Josh knows the
beforehand.
We're
things.
not going to read it.
I know. I'll just put it in front of you.
We just look at
See
like
it.
what's cool and like.
That's right.
I'm with you. But
No, you're not.
what are we drinking tonight?
Well, Carlson was drinking that orange Smirnoff. We are not.
That hypnotic.
But what we are drinking tonight is the Bellamede Reserve Bourbon. And it is something that both Phil and myself, and I think you're in the same party on this, right? We've seen this sitting on the shelf for a long time.
It always leaves
It's
a
been one that
question mark, little
Yeah.
bubble question mark.
is
It
it
does.
good? 'Cause they've got two. There's that one that's like $60-$70, and they've got like a $30-$40 one.
Yeah, I think, is this
And-
where that lands? In
Yeah.
that $60-$70 price range?
Yeah. I've always been hesitant to buy it. Like
It's
is it
right-
good? Is it not
Yeah.
good?
It is.
And I'm glad you bought it, so I didn't have to.
I think Phil said it best right there. There's your review. It's 108.3 proof, and when you drink it, you absolutely know it is 108.3 proof. Initial taste, it's got a lot of flavor,
Yeah, a
and
lot of
then
good flavor.
about 3 seconds later, once you swallow that sucker kicks you right in the chest.
Yeah.
And it is hot. That's not like a throat burn. It's not a mouth burn. That
It's
is
a
a
Pepsid AC.
that is a
burn.
horrible acid reflux Pepsid AC burn. So
I'm getting it more in the mouth than I am in the throat.
Are
but
you?
I'm
I got
gonna
no
say-
mouth burn. I really wanted to like it because the flavor was awesome.
Yeah.
The
The
initial
flavor
flavor,
still is great.
no burn on like the tongue or mouth for me. But then, yeah, as you swallow it, it's like you're
it kicks the
breathing
shit out
fire.
of you. Yeah. Right. And it knocks the wind out your ass.
You know, this would be a
We should-
great cocktail bourbon.
Yeah, it'd make a nasty, like old fashioned or something that would have some punch
Bring
to
a
it.
little
But
heat.
should have tried it with a little water ice.
yeah, I
Pour
think
it down.
that on the rocks might be good, but like all the ratings aside, the reviews aside, I think the most important rating is when we come down to the buy it or not. And I don't know that we've arrived at it yet, but I am, for the first time, classifying this under the don't buy it for me. I didn't love it. It's fucking hot
Don't buy it at what price?
at the price that it is.
Buy it at what price?
$30. I mean, if that's a $30 bourbon, grab it. Sure, it's
Okay.
got some flavor to
Okay.
it, but I'm not buying that. I'm
Number?
I'm throwing a 5 at it.
Whoa.
Yeah. Not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Not a
First
fan.
taste, I thought it was awesome. It had really good flavor, and then my chest just lit up. It was hot as shit. I'm gonna go with if you have a brother who's gonna buy it, let him buy it. I don't know where that fits in the category. I'd go a little higher, 5.5. Said good flavor. I'd like to try it
On
on
ice.
ice or with a little water in it. See what it does.
But this is a completely
our-
different
if our-
discussion. But if you
If our
have to
fridge
have,
didn't freeze the water,
if you have to have water,
some of them open up pretty good.
I know that I'm not passing judgment any way whatsoever.
So
but
here's a good example. If you had lined up right next to that, you had Stillwater black bourbon versus that as far as what you're drinking neat tonight. I'm drinking Stillwater black
all day long,
all night long.
all day long. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was going to go with 5.2. I would say if you're at a friend's house and they have it, try it.
Yeah.
Probably not buy it.
Yeah, if your options are like, Bullet, Maker's Mark, or Bellamide,
But
sure.
There's
That's
a
the-
lot of other good shit, a lot cheaper.
But that's the crazy thing about bourbon, though. Everybody's palate is different. Some people are like, I want the hot shit. I want to fucking burn. I want this. Some people are like, I want wheat. I want smooth. I want 90 proof. I want that. Everybody's different. I don't know if I would buy it at the I'm with you. I don't know if I'd buy it at the $70. If you see it around and you can get it for a decent price for a pour, or if a friend has it, try it and see if it's for you. I wouldn't buy the bottle.
Yeah, when you're at like, some random ass supper club, up north, and there's, like I said, your options are Maker's Mark. You've got, what, maybe
Yep.
what other crap is out there?
For sure.
And then
Oh,
there's that.
Woodford?
Yeah, well, I mean, Woodford. I'm drinking Woodford before I'm drinking.
Yes. But if you've never had Bellamide, give it a shot and see if it teases your palate.
Or
They
But-
do have a honey bourbon that's had
So does Jack
phenomenal. No,
Daniels.
it's had phenomenal reviews.
has it really?
Yeah.
So
it
we
was like
can't.
it was like a 4.5 barrel on Breaking Bourbon.
no
I
shit.
don't-
Breaking Bourbon's usually pretty.
I don't have the sheet
Pretty on
in
the
front of
money.
me, but I'm pretty sure this is the lowest.
I think
review
that
we've
is.
had. This segment is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code Roadster20 at manscaped.com. Hey, speaking of whiskey, it's time. We've got a brand new segment that we've never done before. It's time for Whiskey Throttle.
Yes,
Yay!
I am looking forward.
Yep.
To some Whiskey Throttle.
This segment is called Whiskey Throttle, and it is basically where we look up dumb videos that we've seen online. This could be new ones, this could be old ones, this could be shit that we just came across this week, but it's stuff that we've specially curated for you, the audience, to watch. If you're listening to the audio only episode, I urge you to go to YouTube and watch the video episode
Because you are missing out.
so you
Or
can.
we will try to clearly lay out
We're
whatever
gonna give it a
channel,
description.
Instagram,
Right.
where this comes from, so you can do your best to find it.
And
This is some good shit.
we're gonna get started right now.
Fire it up.
First one up.
What do we got?
You guys ready?
Oh, you showed me this the other day. This is the coolest thing ever.
Take a look at that fucking fridge.
Holy shit. Where
Just restore a muscle car.
we just briefly saw Burt Reynolds though down in the bottom left corner. There he is.
So I just saw in the hashtags.
All right,
this
mute
is,
it real quick.
This is rest in peace, Mike LaValle. So
LaValle did that.
I assume Mike LaValle did this. We need to contact the guys at Restore Muscle Car and see what the deal is with this fridge, because
It's the coolest fridge ever.
we
Got a Smokey and the Bandit. I mean, anything with
A
Trans Am bird on
CB for
it
the handle.
is awesome.
everything about
Yeah.
this is fucking nuts.
Etched glass with
Dude, wait.
shelves.
Well,
There's just so much to take in. Did you see the gold engine turn?
Yeah.
You got like a little radio CB thing up
Yeah.
there by the ice maker.
everything
just-
about it's fucking awesome.
That's just super fucking rad.
To quote Phil,
I mean, Restore a Muscle Car in general, those guys do some really cool shit.
I want that.
I want that.
Next
All right, what
up.
else we got?
All right. Now, I already know the title for this. So, most people have seen this video. We're going to watch the long format. We're going to see why you shouldn't feel sorry for this fucking guy. Right? You ready?
Oh, yeah. I spent a lot of time at the skate parks
All
with
right.
my son.
This
On your
is,
Can-Am.
This is
Not
the,
on my Can-Am, because that is not what you take to
this
a
is
skate
the
park.
long format. So this dude is being as cool as you can fucking be. All right,
A little sliding out there a little bit.
Yeah, a little fucking rail slide. Here we go. Yeah. Okay.
So he is like 10%
It's,
cooler than the kids that are on the scooters. there, huh?
everyone's like, "What are you doing on your Can-Am?" He's like, "I'm being fucking cool." And then here we go. Yeah, this is how cool I am.
Yeah,
Are
fuck
you,
it.
are you
Drop
ready?
in.
This is kind of like the I don't give
Are
a
you
shit.
ready?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna drop in
Uh-oh.
here. And I am laying on the fucking throttle.
It's a full yard sale.
It's the fucking funniest.
Oh shit.
You imagine an absolute gaggle, like 30 16-year-olds coming around and being like, "What the
And-
fuck is your problem?"
And you know, like how you are trying to play that off, like as cool as
Just walk it off.
possible.
Pretend you're not hurt.
All right. Next up,
Grindhard Plumbing.
Grindhard
These
Plumbing.
fucking dudes make some rad,
It's the coolest shit
rad
ever.
stuff.
Yeah.
I've wanted to build one of these so bad, and I'm like, where do you find the?
I don't know
fucking
what they're
time
using.
to do this. They're
I did a
they
shitload of
fab
research
all
on
this
them.
shit.
No,
dude.
they start with like a
Well, they take
four-wheel drive
ATVs
independent
and
ATV.
shit. Yeah.
Like cut the frames, stretch them, and then put a Power Wheels body on.
Dude, if anybody's on Instagram and hasn't come across Grindhard Plumbing Company,
Go to Grindhard Plumbing Co.
Yeah,
on
you're not-
Instagram.
you are
It's
obviously
the
not
coolest
spending
shit.
enough time on
Yeah.
Instagram.
I think we got another one from Grindhard.
yeah, they had a couple. And they get after it. On
Watch
these
this
things,
right
too.
here. This
Yeah.
is you're
Yeah, that dude's fucking straight getting it right there.
and that's a straight up Power Wheels. That's a fucking Power Wheels.
With a 10-inch wheelbase.
Have you seen the Barbie camper version they just finished?
Yeah. Do you know the one we
Awesome.
just watched? Do you know what the name of that is?
They call it the Colonel, right?
Yeah, Colonel Cinders.
Colonel
Tell me that's not fucking
That's
awesome.
pretty legit.
Good shit.
And next up, we've got I see
Dude.
Hollover Inlet. All right,
Anything that starts like Hollover-
explain before we start this. Explain to the listeners what Hollover Inlet is.
all right. So you've got, first of all, Hollover Inlet is the nastiest like cut heading out from the intercoastal in Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah.
right, to the ocean. And the fucking water is rough as shit.
And there's no rhythm or consistency to it. You've got tide
Oh,
coming in,
yeah.
tide going out, waves going
It's
in.
like a washing machine.
And-
All right,
out
so we're fixing to watch this video, and then after, I want you to give commentary to novices that aren't boaters, from experienced boaters.
Well, you-
Explain to me what went wrong.
Well, you've got two awesome. You've got Qualified Captain and Wavy Boats.
Yep.
That just cover the shit out of this.
But
which
tell
are-
me what
All
this
right,
guy
hit
did
it.
wrong.
Nortec too.
Yeah.
What, a 45 Nortec? Getting
Wait
after
for it. Stuffed.
Oh, stuffed.
And blew the windshield out.
Yep.
It blew the
Windshield-
windshield up?
Yeah.
Windshield
look at that.
Oh,
Cracked
shit.
shit out of it.
Windshield is blown the fuck out.
Dude, honestly, out of the wavy boats pulls, I've seen some better stuff. I mean,
what,
the
It was the
busted
most recent
windshield.
one.
what do you do to keep this from happening?
Not
Right
go
here.
that fast into.
Yeah, you trim the fucking motors up and like you roll the bow up, man.
What do you do about all your children that you
You,
just
no-
fucking
you don't.
watched?
You definitely don't put them in the bow of the boat.
Yeah, you get to
when
the
you're
back
about
of the
to
boat.
rip through some 6 to 8 footers. And what's the
Look at the comment or the title.
Nortex stuff?
Dad's gonna be pissed.
And next up, let's see what we have here.
Dune and
Dune
Destroy.
and Destroy.
Let's-
This is the biggest send in a little
Oh,
razor I've
oh,
ever
fuck.
seen.
That's a
Saved
save.
it. Yeah,
That's a save. That's some fucking air.
huge.
Dude, he set that thing down like fairly like peaceful too.
9 times out of 10, you're
Damn.
jumping a razor, you're cartwheeling the shit out of that after you land.
That's a
That's-
fucking save.
Yeah.
But he-
that's impressive as shit.
I mean, he did, like you said, he did everything right. It looks like from the land.
so what's the trick? Phil fucking launches the shit out of his razor.
I
And what's the
think
trick
the
to not
big
lawn
issue-
dart in those?
Most guys get out of the gas, and the CVT drastically slows down the rear wheels. So it's like a dirt bike where you hit the
Nose
brakes
dives.
and it brings the nose down. Stay in it all the way through, and it keeps
Let
the
the
nose
ass end
up.
hit.
Yeah,
So it's the opposite of what you're used to jumping. Usually you let off the throttle.
yeah, you got to stay in it.
So keep your foot in it.
I have had several where I've landed like front wheels first, and you're steering, and it's like 5 minutes before the back wheels come down.
Yeah, I've actually done that in your razor before.
We've got another Dune and Destroy. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I know what this is.
I want to
this-
see the beginning of this. This is fucking horrible.
This
That just looks painful.
Yeah.
I've wrecked a four-wheeler this way.
That's just hard to watch.
Dude, and you see all the parts coming off of it?
Yeah.
How did that
That's every
start
wheel.
though?
I think
It's flipping Friday.
we need more backstory on this one.
Yeah, that's not enough there.
Yeah.
Just not
And-
enough there for me to comment on.
Let's see. Daily biker picks. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh,
Oh yeah,
Phil-
I saw this guy.
Phil sent this one in. All right.
That's a phenomenal whiskey throttle.
This is another. This is a skate park.
I'm gonna land it and,
And
get it.
send it.
Dude, I was the
Oh.
most like intrigued by the walk it off mentality on that one.
Just
That's
run it
the-
out.
You know that knee's fucking broken.
Are you thinking about this? What if he hung on?
No,
What
I
if the
was
bike
thinking about the
landed
bike
on him?
landing on.
Yeah.
it. Forget about hanging on.
Boom. That would have been death.
If he'd have hung
But-
on to that bike,
Tell me you
That's
haven't
pretty
been
cool.
in the walk it off situation
oh,
where
no
all
big-
your
no big
friends are
deal.
watching.
Yeah, look
and
how-
you know
yeah.
it's broken.
Look at how cool
Right?
that is. Yeah,
But you-
Wah.
I'm good. No, dude, I'm
I'm good.
yeah. What's
I'm
up, hey,
good.
dude? What's up, dude? What are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
where are we going?
Yeah,
And-
Subway.
Yeah,
You wanna
I've
go to
got some
Subway?
snacks in my backpack.
Here we go. This is Chick on a mini bike round 2.
Oh,
yes.
Just
Yeah,
wiped down
dude.
the whole table.
And tell me you can't watch that all night long. There it is. And I've got this. I'm good.
That's a Briggs
and
and
I am
Stratton.
just gonna hang this fucking throttle. Yep.
It's hard to let a Briggs get away from you. There's not a lot of power there.
As soon as both the left and the right foot go down to the ground and
What-
get dragged,
What took it from like she was in the utmost control?
this looks like Louisville Street Rod Nationals. Is what it looks
Dude.
like. What did you send me that I haven't sent?
There was a scooter situation that reminded me of Louisville quite a bit.
Louisville, like the Nationals.
No, like Josh in Louisville.
Well, Phil, apologize because I don't
Did
It
the
was-
scooter incident air?
did that. Hold on. We're gonna find it.
I feel like it's probably not the best that you're curating the.
So Josh, did the scooter incident air?
It's right here.
Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
And
And boom!
bam, that is.
So Johnny
How it
Christmas sent
happens.
this to me
Ugh.
and asked if this is what it looked like when Josh ate shit.
I'm
on
gonna
the
be
scooter.
honest with you. She looks more graceful than I did.
I agree.
Yeah.
Boom.
This is like watching professional gymnastics versus Josh is like toddler gymnastics.
But you see what it says. That's because she used one hand.
call it what you want, dude.
There was somebody else that used one hand and was able to take out their phone, search up DMX Rough Riders, play it, and hold it up without crashing.
You were going 3 miles an hour.
I was going full speed.
You weren't hooning like I was.
You ate
Hooning.
shit on a scooter.
I was hooning.
How many times did you crash on a scooter?
I do. I will say I watched some of the
How many
comments on
times
this.
did you crash on a scooter?
Listen to her what she says. She says, "Ooh, ninja."
You
What
think
did
so?
you say as you hit the ground?
Something different.
Dude,
How many times did you crash on a scooter?
Once.
I
Oh, that's a lie. I
will
crashed
say
twice.
that for the rest of my life, I will never forget that. I find myself just randomly sitting there and giggling all by myself.
At my scooter wreck.
Yeah.
Hey, if you go hard as we do, you're bound to wreck every now and then.
You were driving perfectly
I'm sure- you know
flat
what?
on a road.
Dude,
and
I'm
just
sure
ate shit.
I'm sure Travis Pastrana says shit like that.
Oh, me and Travis talk all the time. He's like, dude, if you're in the extreme sports,
And
like
he's like,
me and-
dude, you're doing 17 miles an
Yeah.
hour on a rental scooter.
basically me, Travis Pastrana, Ken Block, and Bam Margera. Like if you're into that type of level,
You know what that
of-
reminds me of? The Aftermath. Remember, it was Step Brothers, right? Where he's like, he's got that little cut on his elbow. And he's like holding it.
You did see how hard my head bounced off the concrete.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like
And I-
that shouldn't have happened at that speed. You could have clearly
46 miles an hour. You're
It's
right.
13.
No, that's incorrect.
You
'cause
could
it
have
was 17. 'cause
clearly rolled out
We
of
went back and looked at the
Way
top
off.
speed.
What about the other one
Oh.
where you lost your wallet, your knife, your phone?
Because that was this fucking asshole. Because he's like, hey, everybody's having a good time. Let me fuck it up.
Yeah, let me
Let
kick
me-
the shit out of the scooter in
Let me
front of him.
kick the shit.
knock his ass down.
If you guys have a funny video that you want us to check out, upload it to Instagram, include the hashtag Oil and Whiskey Podcast, or DM us, email us, and we might just review your video. This is something we're
what?
going to start doing every podcast, at least if we get the content.
You know what I think I've got?
Whiskey
And
Throttle.
I've got to go over to my mom's house. I can remember a little family home video of somebody.
This guy?
Yeah,
I
with a
like it.
little toddler whiskey throttle on a 3-wheeler.
I would.
You remember that video?
I'm pretty sure that was you.
No,
Drifting around in the fucking horse corral
That's
and you
you.
ate shit? No,
That's-
that was you.
it's you, 100%.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Wasabi.
Guarantee it. If we can find that,
I want you to find the VHS video. I'll have Chris
I'm
digitize it
telling you,
to put it.
it's good.
I'm going to need to see that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet a significant amount of money that it was him.
No, we need to bet. We need to put a wager on it.
Let's put a wager on
It's
it
$100.
right now.
$100.
$100.
$100.
You need to just
Yeah.
pay me now while you got your money.
No,
because
it's-
you know I'm winning.
That's $100. You heard it here on Oil and Whiskey.
Piggyback to that.
Because I vividly remember it feels like throwing roosts and stuff. And it was like kind of impressive until the
I've got
then-
I've got
more
a
of
question. I've got a question.
Yes.
Yes.
This is for avid listeners of Oil and Whiskey. If you continue to listen, you might hear this story on a upcoming episode. But right now, is there or was there ever video of the copper penny fart noise
Mm.
episode?
I don't think there's video, but I'll bet you there's like a leading up to it picture.
That's
I don't think there was an after picture because it was one of those like he's alive. This is
Barred.
great.
bar
like-
none. Don't spoil it.
Okay.
Bar none. Favorite fucking
That's your
story
favorite
of all
story?
time.
Okay.
That's my favorite fucking story.
At some point, we'll figure out like where you can work that in.
Oh, I want to work it in. That's going to be right up there with the Vegas story. That's going to be a season ender.
Okay.
I'm telling you what.
Those are the
cliffhanger.
finales.
Episode 45 is going to be the fucking extravaganza. That's where we blow it out. Because who gives a fuck? What if we ever
There's
come
no
back
season
again?
2.
Yeah,
Not going to happen.
Who gives a shit? But seriously, if you have some funny home videos, if you have some whiskey throttles, if you have somebody doing some dumb shit that they shouldn't be doing, send it to us. Post it on Instagram. Use the hashtag Oil and Whiskey Podcast. DM us or email us, and we might use yours on the show. Thanks again for everybody listening to Oil and Whiskey with the Roach Shop. and Ironclad Original. If you like the show, be sure to leave us a rating and review. Because we talk about knives, because we talk about man shit, because we talk about some guns, because we talk about all kinds of cool ass shit, the YouTube algorithm tries to keep us down.
Is that right?
Yep.
Is that what's happening now?
So you got to give us some ratings, reviews.
Spread the love.
You got to say, I fucking loved it. You guys are awesome. You guys suck. Whatever.
Do you have to use those voices?
No, you don't. That's just voices I used. Thanks again to our guest, Jeremy Carlson. We'll see you again next week.